Bears. Bears Country Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bears Country Podcast. It is Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I know it's a little out of a time to be making a podcast, but I have some special announcements, and we have a very special guest who is coming to us from the UK. So we needed to do this today because our schedules are a few hours off from each other. So the first thing I'd like to announce here, we're very excited to announce that Nomad is going to be joining us on Bears Country Podcast as my permanent co-host. Nomad is going to join me pretty much every show, and we're going to have guests on. The idea of the show is to bring chatters in who are in chat live to talk with the two of us and have a great time with all of our Bears fans out in the chat world, out in Twitter land. Anyone that wants to come on and talk Bears with us, anyone is welcome. You can email us at bearscountrypodcast@gmail.com. You can find me on @Mr. Shorty on Twitter and also at Bears Country Podcast on Twitter. So let's go ahead and bring in Nomad and introduce him and welcome to the show. Nomad, how you doing, buddy?
Feeling pretty good, man, after a long night of drinking and lying. Not too bad.
Happy birthday to you this past weekend. You celebrated your birthday weekend. So I never said that to you on our previous broadcast. I forgot to say happy birthday to you. So my bad. Happy birthday to you. I hope you had a great time going out last night and celebrating. And you sound like you're okay to do the show. So that's good.
Right. I'm doing halfway good. But, it was a long night.
So welcome to the show, Nomad. I think we're going to have a lot of fun moving forward on this show together. I think the two things that we bring to the show are two different perspectives. You have some college football experience. I'm just an absolute Bears nuthead. I have a lot of internal Bears experiences too. So it's going to be a lot that we're going to be able to add to the show moving forward. And I'm excited to have you on. So thank you, Nomad.
Well, thank you. And I'm probably more excited than you and just tossing things around in my head as to where we can go. All I know is I believe we can bring a certain element of Bears football talk that you don't hear very much out there. Some details about some of the things that happen within the team and in football in general. Hopefully I'll be able to peel some layers back and kind of give you an idea of what really goes on.
I'm excited for that. It's going to be great, man. And we're going to both be. It's going to be nice to be able to bounce ideas off of someone else and kind of have someone that I know I'm going to be able to talk to every week, and we'll be able to bounce those ideas off each other. And we're both going to come up with stuff as the season goes on. We're both going to see things, probably a lot of the same stuff, and we'll see a lot of things differently that we can add to it. That's going to be. It's going to make for an even better show. And the thing that I like about the two of us is that we think outside the box when it comes to this kind of stuff. We're looking at things a little bit differently than people in the media are talking about, and it's going to be exciting.
That's right. Looking forward to it.
Me too, man. So let's go ahead and unmute Chris here. I didn't mean to bring him on in the stream yet, but I didn't want to just remove him. So let's go ahead and unmute him. So Chris Watts. Chris Watts he's a longtime chatter. We see him a lot in all the different chats. He's been on Dan and Aldo quite a bit, and he's been on the Tailgate Show on Barroom Network. I'm fascinated with Chris because he lives in the UK and he's a Bears fan. And he reached out to me on Twitter, he reached out to me in comments and asked. He put himself out there to come on the show, and I had to jump on that because like all the questions that I have in my head. I can't wait to dive into him with you. So welcome on the show, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. It's absolutely fantastic to be here with you and Nomad, and it's brilliant to actually speak to Nomad, hear his voice, because he's always been a man of mystery to me. So absolutely joyful to be on the podcast, and it's all going to go well, mate.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to dive into this. We're gonna have some fun today. This is gonna be a little fun. So I wanted to kind of first talk about Bears in Europe. Like, what's the influence of the NFL from your perspective in Europe, and then kind of start with that, and then from there kind of talk about how you became a Bears fan from that.
I mean, obviously the biggest influence in my country has been the London series, which has started in 2007, which has made a massive impact because back when I was younger, we used to get like a pre-season game, an NFL pre-season game, but obviously these are proper regular season games. So when I was younger, I never thought this would happen when I was a kid. So I'd say that's been the biggest impact over the last sort of 7 or 8 years. I mean, to such a point that Tottenham Hotspur, when they built their new stadium, they've actually got an NFL pitch underneath the soccer pitch, which you can actually roll out and the NFL pitch comes up. So the NFL, he's starting to put a bit more of a permanent footstep in this country. And I know that they've also started an international recruitment scouting scheme in this country. They got a centre down in London for that. And also with the London series, it's massively it's got a lot more people interested in the game compared to what we had. I mean, I'll go into sort of how I got into the Bears. But basically, what happened is that it was the Chicago Bears Super Bowl 20 game, and in the afternoon, I went round to my best mate Paul, and he bought a rugby ball. And he got like a black marker pen, and he actually drew like the college stripes on the rugby ball and like some fake stitching so it looked like an American football. So I can just remember going out of his house, and it was like a dreary, cold January day. And I went, what have we done to the rugby ball? And he's going, I'm getting into American football. And I was going, all right. And I played all like the British sports played up apart from soccer. So I went, all right. Anyway, he threw me the ball, and I caught it, and I thought, yeah, man, I like this. So I threw it ball back. We both sort of slowly learned how to do a spiral. And then I watched a bit of the game, the actual Super Bowl, and I had absolutely no idea what was going on. But I just thought, I fucking love this. I absolutely love this. And then after the Super Bowl, about a month later, there was like a weekly magazine came out, and it built up like a series. So you had it built up, and it told you about all the different NFL teams, all about the rules, the history of the NFL. And the first copy I bought, it had the Chicago Bears in. And I just thought, and it had pictures of the fridge, Walter Payton, Jim McMahon. And I just thought, that's my team, man. That is, I know they just won the Super Bowl, so people could go, a bit of a glory hunter. But when you just see something and go, that's my team, man, that is my team. So we started getting into it, and then all we had in this country was an hour highlight show on Channel 4, and basically it were highlights from the game the week before, but it was only on for like an hour and a half. No, not even that. So you literally got like 5-minute snippets of games from the week before, and from that show stemmed this like American football obsession in the country for a good 4 or 5 years. Loads of teams set up in all different towns around the country. A lot of cities had a couple of clubs. I started playing when I was 14. And the actual senior game had quite a lot of money pumped into it. There were like Budweiser and Coca-Cola were sponsoring it. So there were quite a lot of money in the domestic game. And what a lot of the top teams did, they actually brought over Americans to play like quarterback or a linebacker, the positions what could really sort of change a game. Mm-hmm. And the team I played for, the Leeds Cougars, I played for the under-19s, but the senior team used to get 2,000 or 3,000 people watching them, and these are just guys that are doing it after work, amateur, what I mean. And it became a bit of a fashion thing, the NFL. Like people used to walk around with like NFL tops on and NFL sweatshirts, and they used to be like a little NFL shop what used to be up, and they used to sell seltzer, which made me laugh when you mentioned seltzer, Dan. So you'd have loved it, mate. And And yes, so I mean that were in the 80s, and like the Chicago Bears, they were one of the first teams to come over in 1986. They came over and played a pre-season game against the Dallas Cowboys, and it was called the American Bowl. And they came over, and the press loved it. They loved the fridge and all the stars and the personalities of that Bears team, and that made a massive impact. So yeah, that's the main impact the Bears made back when I first got into it. But also, I do know that I think Britain and maybe Spain is a part of the European territory what the Bears want to attack and grow an audience. So hopefully something might happen. I don't know. I mean, I always go to the website. I don't really see anything. But American football as well is really big in Europe. It's probably bigger in Germany than it is in this country, really, because of obviously after World War II, you have the the air bases and American servicemen stationed there. So it's probably more popular in Germany than it is in this country. And these are a professional European league, and they actually use a lot of the old road league names like the Frankfurt Galaxy and things like that. So these are a professional European league, but I mean obviously you're not making the players aren't making loads and loads of money playing it. But we've had a few players from this country who managed to get into the NFL, and I think really just having them at London games when it's become regular season games has made it even bigger in this country, because you're watching what matters rather than just a pre-season game what they used to have in the 80s when I was a kid. So that's my story. I mean I played running back for 5-6 years, and I played for Great Britain, and I played the last 4 years I played. I was like the second. I got the second most yardage in running backs in the whole country. So man, it was fantastic. And like I said on Dan and Aldo show, a lot of American culture were a big thing in the 80s over here. Like the TV shows and the films and stuff like that. So it was just like a continuation of the American culture what we absolutely adored in the 80s.
Wow. So when you said you played football, what did you play? You played like minor league football, or what did you play?
But basically, they had our league was 14 to 19-year-olds, and then after that, you would play for like the senior team, which is like like an open age. So when I first started at 14, I was playing against like 90-year-old guys. I used to get my shit knocked out when I first started playing. But obviously you get stronger and you get to know the game. And I got all my kit and I got my helmet and everything. And I absolutely loved it. I loved playing running back. It was just the most favourite position I love, because you're always in the game when you're on offence. And I used to love the rough and tumble, and I'd say I was probably a cross between Christian McCaffrey and David Montgomery. That'd be my running style if I should be so bold.
Wait, so whose running style?
Christian McCaffrey, and David Montgomery.
So you were a squirrely little guy, huh?
Oh, I'm only 5'8". So I used to sort of hide behind the blockers and then zip out, but I used to like to put my shoulder down as well and give a hit out. I never used to run out of bounds, never did anything like that. But yeah, and then
stay in bounds and hit the guy.
Yeah, too right, man, too right. I always wanted to take out the opposition. After
you learned
the
from
game,
Walter Payton.
Too right, never go out of bounds, mate. Make him pay. I mean, when I played a game, I fucking hated the opposition, but after the game, we'd have a drink and a chat and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But I took it so seriously. I used to go weight training at 13 and all sorts.
Yeah. So you said 14 so you was I missed that part where I kind of lost Nomad and I was trying to bring it back in, so I kind of missed a section where was that high school? Did they have that in high school, or was it like a side league your parents put you in?
No, it was just like an amateur league. Nothing to do with school or anything like that. It was basically a lot of the clubs had a senior team, then a junior side. And I was playing for the juniors at the time, so I was under 19. So that was the usual setup, really. It was just, I think, a few teams appeared, and then more appeared, and we managed to have like a proper league going for about 3 or 4 years. So we had enough teams to actually have a decent league and all that sort of thing. So no, it was. We did try and get it in our school because because it was so popular when I was at school in the 80s. But it just fell through due to lack of finance. But yeah, I mean, we had to buy his own kit. I mean, I was lucky my mum and dad bought me my kit for a Christmas present, and that cost a fortune. That were like, I think the helmet were £150, which probably would have been it'd be about £300 today. So I was very lucky that my parents would pay for a kit, and they always sort of were enthusiastic about any sport I got into. So, I mean, that was the only downside for people, is that they had to, buy their own kit, because that's like the biggest obstacle. You're thinking about £300 or £400 in kit, and you're talking 30 odd years ago. So, that's the only downside of the game. But I think today, a lot of clubs do get some money from Sports England to buy kit. So I think it's a lot easier today than it was back in the day when I used to play.
So did you have to buy your pads and everything?
Oh, everything, mate. Yeah, everything. Pads, helmet, everything.
Wow. Did you get all that, Nomad? You kind of cut in and out. And
yeah, that was me over here screwing around, trying to be fancy, trying to be in the chat and listen to the show at the same time. That's my fault. Messing around with stuff. Hey, you know what? Hold on. Let me. Chris.
You can private chat me, Nomad, and I can type it for you if you want.
Nah, that's okay, man. I better not mess with stuff, man. You mess around and lose me completely. I gotta learn how to toy around with this different stuff.
Yeah, we gotta figure it out. We got plenty of time, buddy.
I wanted to say something to Chris though, because I know the NFL is a global brand. You know it, when you hear, but I think it's some kind of disconnect. I don't think people really fully understand how global it is, and I really didn't until I began to get into these podcasts and do different things like that. And I saw Chris on that tailgate show. I'm just like, wow, he's all the way over there in the UK and that big a Bears fan.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Irish Bears, and I'm just like, oh, gee whiz, this is serious.
Oh yeah.
And it just didn't. That's the first time. What I'm saying is, it's the first time it really connected in my mind. Like this is huge, man. It's really huge.
The Irish Bears are actually in Ireland.
They are. Yeah.
I just assumed they were. I have watched some of them. I just assumed they were here.
I don't know. Actually, I'm about to put my foot in it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they are there because they sure have strong accents.
I think they are, yeah. But I think they do try to do shows which will be, for audiences in America, your sort of time, rather than our time zone over here.
Mm-hmm.
Just as passionate as we are.
Yeah, man, I love it.
You're right, mate.
And I wanted to ask you, Nomad, what do you think about? Can you believe that the '85 fucking Bears had such an influence on the global, NFL community? It's like you think about what Michael Jordan did for the NBA community globally, and how he became a global superstar. That same Bears team became a global superstar team, and there's so many. I mean, I'm right there with you, Chris. I became. I mean, I was 10.
Well, I think me and you were exactly the same age, Dan. I'm 48, and I think you're around that age as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 47. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were been going through that Bears period through the 80s, the glory days. But the Bears, that team were the one what sold the NFL to Britain, definitely, and I can imagine the rest of the world, because it was just the personalities in that squad. It was, you had Sweetness, you had the Fridge, you had McMahon, you had Dictor. Do you know what I mean? You had Singletary, and there were such big characters that
McMichael.
It translated so well over to people over here, and it was like, man, these people are so cool, and they're such athletes, and it were incredible times.
Man, it's amazing to me. Like, after all these years, one team sucked so many people in from across the pond. It's just awesome. It just goes to show what our fan base is.
Oh yeah.
Central 2 cents in there, because
absolutely.
I see. The more I think about it, and the more I really, really reflect on, things I've seen impact wise in the game, I think there's one single person that's had the most impact on football, the image and how people see it, whether it be here or in the UK. And I think it's Walter Payton.
Definitely.
I think it's Walter Payton for sure.
Absolutely.
I agree. I mean, I've got a Walter Payton shirt. I mean, Walter Payton was the first shirt I ever bought when I was a kid. I had Walter Payton posters. We used to have a weekly American football newspaper, what used to come out called First Down. And they used to have like all the NFL news and the college, but also they used to cover the whole British game. And like they used to have like centerfold posters. So I used to have all these centerfold posters of Walter Payton, Jim McMahon, all the players at that time, like Joe Montana. I mean, firstly, I'm a Chicago Bears fan, but I'm also an NFL fan. So, sure. I mean, I've got jerseys of like my favorite player. I've got like an LT, Lawrence Taylor jersey, and I've got, a Montana one. But like the two main influences really were the Chicago Bears and also the 49ers. Them two teams were really big in this country. They made a big impact, especially like Joe Montana and Walter Payton, like you said.
Mm-hmm. I as much as I bleed blue and orange, at the time I really was into Joe Montana. That Montana to Rice connection too is a lot of fun to watch. It fucking pisses me off to this day still when they came in and kicked our ass in the snow in the championship game and was it 86 season?
Might have been 87, 88, something like
that.
There went our bad weather advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like that's what there's been a lot of talk too, Nomad, about what's the matter if the Bears put up a dome in the new stadium. It's not like that weather advantage is actually to their advantage.
You have, and I get tired of listening to the traditionalists and all these people. Oh, we got to have an outside stadium because that's stupid, man. That is so stupid. We have to, in order for the city to grow and the state to grow, we have to move on from that. We have to think about the kind of revenue that this new venue. It's not going to be just a stadium for Bears football. I don't think it's going to be a venue.
Yeah.
So much revenue, so many jobs, and so many opportunities for different people that's out there waiting to be had. And I wish people would really just calm the hell down about the Soldier Field stuff.
Me too.
I agree. I mean, the thing as well is Chicago could actually go and try and get a Super Bowl if they get like a stadium like Nomad. It's just mentioned, and Chicago's never had a Super Bowl. And that'll be so big for the city. I mean, I know they usually do it if a stadium's open. They usually let the stadium be open for a couple of years, don't they, before they give them a Super Bowl. But imagine that Super Bowl in Chicago, man. It'd be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, how awesome would that be?
It'd be amazing.
This is a great place to have a Super Bowl.
It's a travesty there hasn't been one yet. There's all the freaking places to put a Super Bowl. Chicago is one of them. It should be every 5 years there should be a Super Bowl in Chicago.
It's cold as hell in January, but it's worth it because people don't shut completely down because it's cold. It's still a lot of things to do, just places it'll be great.
Especially
sorry, Dan.
Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, they could do it because they did it in Minnesota, didn't they? Not so long ago when that new stadium opened up, and Minnesota's probably colder than Chicago in some points. So, like Nomad said, I mean, there'll be plenty for people to do. And I mean, I haven't been to Chicago. That's one of my bucket list things to do. But Chicago sounds like it's got.
Oh man, hold on. We got to get you to Chicago, Chris. Hold on.
Oh
man.
brother, I want to go there, man.
Damn it, we're gonna start a GoFundMe right now. We're getting your ass in Chicago.
Yes. I'm up for that, mate. I'm fucking loving that, mate. Absolutely loving it. Because Aldo said I could stay at his place. So all I need is my flight out there. But it's I've been to America when I was younger, but I never had a chance to go to Chicago. And it always sounds like it's got amazing restaurants and bars and a great nightlife. Yeah. I'm into nightlife, so I'd love to get over there.
If you ever make it to Chicago, let me know. I'll try to make it up there and join you. Maybe we can catch a Bears game or something.
Man, you're
talking dreamland.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have a blast.
I like the GoFundMe idea.
Yeah,
what I was gonna say was when they do finally move the stadium to Arlington Heights, they're gonna have all that land to build all this extra stuff on, and you're basically if you fly into Chicago, let's just say for a Super Bowl, you're not going to leave that area. You're going to be right around the stadium. You're going to be staying next to the stadium. You're going to be eating all around I imagine they're going to put a Lumalnatis and a Portillos and all the.
Oh God, yeah.
They better, right?
They're gonna have everything in there, man. That's gonna be kind of like I think it's gonna come off like a mini Vegas there.
Yes,
in that area. I think that's the way we're the outlook on that. That's what I think we're looking at.
A casino there and everything. Yeah, you're right about that. Another one of my complaints is that the stadium. It's like you've been to a Bears games, right, Nomad?
A long time ago. I don't enjoy the games in person as much as I do on TV because I'm just one of those people. You got people around you being crazy and drunk.
Yeah.
And you can't enjoy the game like you want to.
Yeah, I hear you. But the food in the stadium sucks right now.
Wow. Really?
You go into the food. I have Atlanta Falcons season tickets. Shame on me. I hate saying that as a Bears fan, but I bought them because the Bears were terrible. They had just gone to the Super Bowl, lost by 20, they blew a 25-point lead. The new stadium opened the next year. The PSLs were like $500 a seat, and they're only like $1,200 a year for the tickets. I was like, I'm doing it. Then I have built-in Bears games. Whenever the Bears come, I can go and I'll sell the rest of the tickets and maybe go to maybe I can see Tom Brady play or something like that. But the food in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is better than the food that's currently in Soldier Field, and that's a travesty in itself because the food in Chicago is some of the best in the world. You would think that they would be putting their main restaurants inside, like a Portillo's or a Lumalnatis or an Uno's or anything, even a Nancy's Pizza. There might be like a Nancy's Pizza in there or something, but pretty much all the food that I've ever eaten there was just terrible. I tried it. That's why there's so much tailgating going on, because nobody wants to eat the shit that's in the stadium.
How do you mess up a hot dog?
Yeah.
No, man. You put ketchup on it. You put ketchup on it. That's how you mess it up.
Nachos are cold. The cheese is cold.
Mm-hmm.
I bet by the time you get your food, based on how I remember, I was in there when I was probably 6 or 7 or something like that. And I remember vaguely what it was like. And I can remember us going to get something to eat. And by the time we got it where we were sitting, it's kind of cold.
Uh-huh.
I remember that.
Yeah, your nacho cheese is like hard and
yeah, it was bad. I didn't even want it.
I mean, even if you go to like a Milwaukee Brewers game, they have like the most amazing nacho bar that you can build your own nachos with. You'd think they'd have something like that in Soldier Field. Just the plain old nachos with some cheese, the chips with some cheese and some jalapenos. Like, come on, this is Chicago, man. Step it up a notch.
The move out of Soldier is so overdue, man. We just need to get over the nostalgia of it, turn it into some kind of historical site, whatever you want to do. Turn it into a goddamn racetrack. I don't give a shit. We just need to get out of there.
Yeah, wouldn't that be ironic? They turned Soldier Field into a dog racing track. I think it's too small. They wouldn't be able to do that.
I was being funny in a chat, and I was just like, hell, we're trying to switch over our energy dependency on fossil fuels, turn into a big hub of solar panels or something. So give some people some free energy or something, anything. Just get the Bears the hell out of that place.
100% agree.
I just find it very strange that I've always found it strange that the Bears don't own the stadium. I've always found that really, really, really strange. Even when I was really young, when I was first getting into the game, I kept thinking, well, how come they don't own their own stadium? Even at a young age, I kept thinking, well, they must be losing out on so much revenue coming in. And also as well, like, they are being dictated by the by the mayor and all that of Chicago, aren't they, really, about what can go on? And especially like the pitch. Like the state of the Chicago Bears field, sometimes it's been embarrassing. And that can't be good for either side to play. That can't be good for Bears to play on. If you played on some what looks like a school pitch from 1962, all of it just coming up and it's terrible. So I agree with Nomad and with you, Dan, that they need to move out as soon as and get this stadium sorted and then bring on the good times. Because at the end of the day, it's just a building. The Bears are the team, the club and us. We're the Bears as the fans. So, I think as soon as they're in the new stadium after a couple of years, people would have forgotten about Soldier Field by then. When they see this new state-of-the-art stadium and what it brings to the community, and if they get a Super Bowl, then people forget. I mean, they're still in the Chicago area anyway. It's not like, you know, they're going to Green Bay or Wisconsin or somewhere like that. I mean, they're still in the area, so it's you know, I don't see what the them sort of issues are. I don't understand why people get so upset about it.
Like Nomad said, when they first started talking about the new stadium back in like 99, 2000, 98, or whenever when they first started talking about redoing Soldier Field, they were renting Soldier Field then. Like, why did it take another 25 years or so for them to realize that they needed to own their own stadium to build their own revenue from? Why the hell are they paying to use their own stadium?
Yeah, it's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
And there's lots of teams that don't, like the Patriots don't play in, you know, Boston. The Giants and the Jets don't play in New York, right?
No.
San Francisco doesn't play in San Francisco. So, I mean, they'd be one of a couple of handfuls of teams that wouldn't be living in their city. They wouldn't be residing in their city's namesake. Any big deal. I don't
we
care.
just need to move into the new millennium with the way we think. As far as if I'm ownership or somebody in that admin, you gotta think forward and stop thinking backwards so much, because it's just time, man. The city is too big. It's too many people. The fan base is too strong not for us not to be enjoying the Bears in a different form.
Yeah.
And inviting more people to us.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. I mean, the fans deserve a state-of-the-art facility. That's
Absolutely.
what they are. That's what they deserve. And Chicago deserves it. You know, Chicago's, what is it, like the third biggest city in the US? I'm guessing. You know, it must be up there anyway in the top five. And it must be up there like in the TV market as well. You know, next to New York and LA. So, you know, everything's there. Everything's there. We just need a new stadium, what the team owns, and
Chris,
you know, and be more updated.
Chris, let me tell you something, man. In fact, I heard Will Smith one time before. They asked him, he was on some talk show. He was like, "What's your favorite summertime city?" And without blinking, he said Chicago. It's the best place. It's the best place in the world you want to go in the summer. It is the bomb. I mean, it's just so many places. The lake is great. The beach is out there. I mean, it is awesome, man. And I can't wait for you to get a chance to get your bite of it.
I'll be gobbling it all up. No, man, I'm telling you. Once you get there, I'll be like a kid in a candy store. I think I've actually ever got to Soldiers Field. I think I might just have like an emotional meltdown. So it'd be like, I'm actually here. It's the Walter Payton statue. I think I'd probably just end up in tears for about 10 minutes. And then, obviously, being an Englishman, it won't last very long. But I'd love to get over there. I mean, Aldo's inviting me over and some of the other guys from the Byron networks. It's down to me to get my arse into gear. It's probably going to be next year now, but I will definitely get there at one point.
Well, tell Aldo to buy you a damn ticket. He's got 12,000, almost 1,100, almost 12,000 subscribers to the Byron network. I think he could probably buy you a ticket.
Hey, shorty, we're gonna have to start a movement. # get Chris's ass to Chicago.
You gave me goosebumps, Nando. One of my best friends' name is Nando. I'm sorry, Nomad. You gave me goosebumps, Nomad, because just I think about driving into the city, and you're cruising along on 94, and then you start to approach the city, and then you just start to see
that feeling comes over you, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's really the reason why they filmed like the Dark Knight there and stuff, the Batman movies, because it really does look like Gotham. New York is so massive; it's got so many acreage of large skyscrapers span all this land, and it's not as majestic as when you're driving into Chicago and you start to see the city and you start to see the buildings, and then they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's almost like driving towards the Rocky Mountains, and you just start to see the majestic mountains just start to build in your image, and they get bigger and bigger. Right. Watching the city just come in, you're like, oh my God. And then when you're standing on Lake Michigan, over by Soldier Field, and you're just looking back at the city, on the lakefront. It is absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
It is a universe, man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like that contrast where you can see the skyscrapers and you have the lake in front of it. I think that's an awesome contrast for the view. But yeah, I mean, I like a lot of blues music, so I'd like to go to like a few like blues bars and check out some like old dudes playing some blue guitars and that. So yeah, I'd love to make it over there, boys. It will happen one day. It will happen one day.
Go ahead, Nomad.
No, I was gonna say I know it used to be that the Hard Rock Cafe and different places like that. Well, there's a lot of places that do blues. It's a lot of taverns that do the blues.
Yeah.
You'll find that if you're looking for it without a problem.
Oh yeah, but I'd love to like find like some like little backstreet blues bar what's not commercialized and it
Right.
it's got that proper vibe, proper like it's a seasoned venue where you've had like Muddy Waters and all that playing there. But yeah, I mean I will get there one day. I will get there one day.
Do you have a pen and paper near you?
I can get hold of one.
That's okay. I'll give it to you in the green room when we're done with the show. There's another bar. There's another bar you got to check out. It's actually where I met my wife.
Right, cool.
It's a jazz club.
Right.
So
don't say the Wild Hair.
No, the Green Mill. No, the Green Mile.
I've never heard of it.
It was Al Capone's bar.
Oh,
back in the day.
Cool.
And me and some of my buddies went to a concert, and he's like, yeah, we were right downtown, so he's like, let's go out and let's check out some live jazz. I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So we go down to the Green Mile, and the place it's packed, and there's a little stage in the back, and they're up there with the stand-up bass, and they're just playing the awesome funky jazz, and you got to shut up, you can't talk, and it's awesome because it used to be Al Capone's bar, so there's like tunnels that are underground with secret doors and stuff, because he used to sit in the corner, which is kind of strange. I don't know. I was talking to not Nomad about this yesterday, and I'm kind of the same way. I don't know why. Maybe I get it from Al Capone somehow. But whenever I go into a restaurant, I always kind of sit. I always want to have my view of the whole place, just so I can scope everything out, just in case there's a fire or whatever,
I thought you were going to say that you wanted to have your back against the wall just in case.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe it comes from that too. It's the what's his name, Wild Bill Hickok, who was shot in the back playing poker. Yeah, it's just. I got really big into the show Deadwood too, so maybe that has something to do with it, because they showed how he got shot in the back playing cards, and but yeah, so the Green Mile is really nice because it's got all this history. It used to be Al Capone's bar. It's got secret hatches, underneath it still. That they don't. We all know that they're there. They don't take you on a tour of them or anything, but everyone knew that they were there, and it's just check it out when you're down there because it's a very neat little jazz bar.
Yeah, but I like a bit of jazz as well. So yeah, that sounds awesome. I like the history as well behind it. That's so cool. That is so cool. Because that's one thing we always think about Chicago when I was younger is the 1920s mobsters and prohibition and all that sort of thing. So yeah, that'd be such a cool place to visit.
And you'll have to check out Buddy Guy's too. That's one of the premier blues bars.
All right, cool. Yeah, Buddy Guy, yeah.
I can't wait for him, and I'm gonna embellish a little bit because I know this is my thing. I'm a food. The city has such good food. Everywhere, and I think that's part of the lure. I think people come here for all kinds of different reasons, but they keep coming back for the food and the places to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's the other things like you were talking about, like architecture. The history, of Al Capone and all that.
Dad, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm sure I read this, that when they first started originally building Chicago, they had to build the buildings on stilts because it's quite a marshy area. Am I right, or have I just completely made that up?
When they first started building it?
Yeah, when they first
before the Chicago fire?
Yeah, before the fire, when they first started building it, because the actual land's quite boggy, because obviously you're right up against the lake. But they had to build them on sort of stilts, like legs, the buildings originally. But obviously they probably don't do that now, I thought. But I'm sure I read that somewhere. I'm sure. I've been wanting to bring that up with somebody for ages.
I do remember kind of something about what you're talking about as far as the marshiness of it and everything. Yeah. I'm not sure if they had to build them on stilts. I can look that up if you want to chime in, Nomad. What do you think? Have you heard anything about that?
No, that's all brand new to me. I've never heard that. I don't know that much about how they carved out the city. All I know is in early, probably in the 20s, it was a really big cattle stockyard or something. They like the beef capital of the and pork capital of the country.
Mm-hmm.
I know that much.
Yeah, that's how the Chicago fire happened, because for I forget the famous woman's name, her cow tipped over a lantern and started the fire that burnt down the city.
Wow.
Hey, before we get carried away, thanks. Hey, Mule, I see you up there, and thank you for coming, man. Glad to see you in here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Mule. Thanks everybody in chat for joining us. We have Bear with me was here. Don Burr stopped in for a second. He went to go mow his lawn.
Don Burr's boring, man. I find Don Burr so boring.
We're gonna get to some Bears soon, but we're just having fun right now.
Yeah, but I can't believe people bite to Don Burr so much on the chat. I just find him really boring. I really do. I find all that quite boring and low level. But I can't believe how some guys in the chat really bite with him. And I'm just thinking, just chill out, man. It's just a fucking... Sorry for swearing. I didn't know if I could swear.
You can swear. You're fine.
Sorry. It slipped out. But
away, man. You're good.
But at the end of the day, it's just a Detroit fan. And Detroit are Detroit, and they'll always be Detroit. So I just can't understand why people get so worked up in the chat with the guy. It's a waste of energy.
You did what Nomad did last week. I like his fourth F-bomb. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry for swearing." I was like, "You already said fuck like 4 times." Don't worry about it. This is an adult show. I did. Mule Skinner says it was marshy from the beer runoff and the breweries. I did look up. I think what you're thinking of is kind of what I remembered too. They raised the. I'm reading a headline here. The time they lifted Chicago 14 feet. So it looks like they actually used hydraulic jacks and jack screws, a titanic feat of engineering to literally raise the buildings up because it was built on a swamp. Wow. Yeah.
Oh, partially right.
Yeah, partially right. I mean, I learned something right now, so thank you for that.
Oh yeah, I'm full of absolutely, pointless information all the time.
So am I. I hear you.
Well, when he actually does come, you gotta. I think if it were me, I would get my a list of things to do and places to go, because you're definitely not going to be able to do it all in one trip.
No.
Unless you stayed for a week, you'd be able to get.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm thinking about doing. Is sort of come for the game and then stay for 5 days after the game and see the city and probably do like a stadium tour and all that. I wouldn't just come for a week, like a long weekend. It's just too far to do.
It's too long of a
and expensive as well.
Yeah,
for
3
4
days.
Make sure you get to the Few Museum, man. That's got some history in there.
Right. Cool, man.
I'm
all up for history, mate. That's what us British like. We do like his history. That's the only thing we can talk about is history.
So good, right? The Field Museum is an amazing place to go. So is the Museum of Science and Industry. That's a really cool
absolutely.
Yeah, they got a lot of cool shit in there. Like I haven't been there in so long. I'm sure it's a lot different now, but they had like a whole plane in there you could go and walk into, things like that. Real cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's move this talk towards some of the current Bears climate that's going on right now. Nomad, we never got to touch on Tevin Jenkins when we had you our last pod. Gosh, I forgot when that was. When was that? Thursday night? Yeah.
Right.
So Tevin Jenkins, I was just looking at his press conference here before we got on, and man, the poor kid looks. I mean, I have an image here just frozen, and he just look on his face is just like.
Ugh.
He looks like completely dejected. He looks like he had something definitely happened between him and the coaching staff, and they're trying to work it out. It's looking like to me like he's probably less likely to be traded now. My guess is that maybe they tried to trade him and couldn't get what they wanted for him or something like that. I mean, I also kind of feel bad because I was talking to this last Monday with Jordan, and I did bring up maybe he has an alcohol problem. I feel bad for saying that because it's just, speculation on my part. I was just trying to add some different layers to what it could possibly be. I don't mean to accuse him of that. I certainly don't think it's that. I was just trying to add different layers to it. But it looks to me, watching his press conference, that he's just something happened with the coaches, and he's just trying to work through it with them. What do you guys think? You watched the press conference, right, Nomad?
Yeah, I took a couple things from it. I tried not to be overly critical about it. I'm still going to try not to be, but I do take. I kind of see things different. I kind of see, and it kind of came out. I didn't watch Tevin's press conference in conjunction with coach's press conference, right? Mm-hmm. So I watched them in two different times. I looked at Tevin, went and did some things, and caught up. I seen Flus's interview last night when I got back in, and what I saw is, first of all, I thought they probably felt the need to push him out in front and answer the questions about the situation rather than anybody else do it. Number one, he probably didn't want to be out there because he knew a whole bunch of questions was coming at him.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, when you heard him say, I just talked to my agent. When they asked him about whether he talks to Poles or anybody else, I talked to my agent. And that's under the circumstances smart. If you go back to the first show we did together, I kind of explained the kind of dynamics that happen in a position room and how things could transpire in there when people don't see eye to eye. Mm-hmm. And I really believe, especially after listening to Eberflus, if you listen to Tevin's interview and then you put it next to Eberflus's interview, there's smoke in that situation with there was some differences between him and the coach. Because Eberflus kind of said, as coaches, we got to just, give these guys the opportunity and don't try to, get in their way. We got to take the ceiling off of them and let them go. And I thought he was referring to the Tevin Jenkins situation. You watch it and you tell me what you think.
I watched Eberflus before. I watched them side by side. So I watched Eberflus first, and then I watched Tevin Jenkins. And I'm agreeing with you. You can read between the lines.
Sorry, no, but go on. Sorry, mate.
No, go ahead, Chris. I gotta let my cat.
All right. I mean, my sort of like, I think basically what's happened is that Jenkins, I think basically he had a bit of a paddy, to put it in a way. I think basically he thought, I'm going to be the starter. This is my job. I'm back 12. And then I think when the Bears brought in the two other offensive linemen, and also when they drafted offensive linemen, I think he's probably thought, what the fuck? Why do you bother drafting me? I know he's not their guy and it was a previous regime, but end of the day, he's still a second round pick. So he's still a person of value to a team. And I reckon basically that he had a bit of a tantrum with the coaches saying, well, how come you got these players and I'm supposed to be number one and all that. And I think the coaches have probably said, it's all competition and the best man's going to get the job. And I think maybe that's what could happen behind the scenes. But I mean, I am only guessing, but that's what it seems to be like to me.
Yeah, because if somebody,
because you'd be pissed off, wouldn't you? You'd be pissed off if you like if you thought you were going to get a new job and it was better than what you were doing before, and then suddenly there's like 6 other people suddenly going for the same job what you've been promised. Then you you would be sort of upset, wouldn't you? So I think maybe that's what could happen, but I don't think it's been handled well by the Bears at all.
If that was the case and that did make him upset, just speculating, I would think that would lead to maturity issues, right? Because which has been what a lot of the talk has been. Because if that doesn't light a fire under your ass for you to push you to get yourself better, to keep yourself as the starter, then that to me is a little bit of a weakness in your character. Because you have to realize they're going to draft offensive linemen every year. They're going to they're going to have to keep adding to the depth of the team to keep there's constantly injuries on the offensive line. You can't even say that Tevin Jenkins, any of our starters are going to play the entire season. So you have to have quality depth, and you have to realize, okay, they drafted a bunch of offensive linemen in the later rounds, which is later than I was drafted. So those players were picked to contribute to the team below me in case the chance I get hurt. So that should, to me, should have lit a fire under his ass to say, hey, this is my job, guys. You guys can sit back and learn from me, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Can I say something really fast?
Absolutely.
I didn't mean to interrupt, Chris, but it's I think I'm gonna say for myself and everybody else, we don't know actually what went on. We speculate, but with some, if you look at things, if you listen to that press conference, and I think people ought to really go back and watch our first video and the way I described some of the things that happened with guys in those kind of situations, and why I think polls may have, it's a possibility that the Bears could have leaked that out there just to motivate him, possibly. But if you listen to his press conference and really pay attention to it, he was very, very, very vague about everything until it got to the coaching aspect of it. He opened up a little bit there, and he really opened up about the weight thing and the conditioning thing. So that, to me, that's two green lights about something I was thinking in my head. They've got a problem with his conditioning, and they felt like they needed to motivate.
I mean, I was thinking as well that it must be so. He's had such a frustrating introduction to NFL, hasn't he? Really, with the injuries, what he picked up. We're all, you were like the big hope last year. So that must play in your confidence and on your, being ambitious is sort of, it outworked out for me. It must be very frustrating for the guy. But it could be it's like we say, I mean, we're all just speculating and guessing. But I just think like he got a little bit fed up with, well, I thought I was a guy, and now you're bringing in some more guys. Then, and also he probably knows that he's under a lot of pressure because he didn't play very often last season.
Right. Yeah.
So I can imagine he's just in a bad place himself.
I was just going to say, kind of to devil's advocate to myself, to what my response to you was, that perhaps because he had that, the downfall with his back last year, and then he comes back and he's thrown into the practices, and then he's thrown into a game, and he only started 2 games, and he had some good moments, but he had some bad moments.
Yeah.
So they could have been talking about those bad moments with him, trying to, get his conditioning correct, to what Nomad was saying. And it just, he wasn't able to get to where they wanted him to be. Like Greg Gabriel said on Barroom Network with Aldo, talked about body fat, and they want the body fat to be a certain percentage. And in this kind of a scheme, as far as what they're doing with, flying to the ball and needing to be fast, and I just think it's possible that, he may have lost some confidence because of that last year, and then he wasn't able to. He had some downfalls with his conditioning again coming back, and it kind of put him in the doghouse, and that's contributing to his kind of lack of confidence in himself. Maybe the look of dejection on his face that he has in this most recent.
I heard a story somewhere, or I didn't hear a story, but I heard somebody mention that it's possible that his agent could have leaked that. And if that's remotely true at all, tell you right now, Tevin Jenkins, if you're listening, fire his ass ASAP. fry his ass yesterday because that was stupid if that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Really
Mate.
hurt him if they did that.
You're right, mate, because nobody's come out looking very good from this situation, all have they? Neither the team or the guy.
And Mule Skinner says, I can only speculate from all my visits with a surgeon because back injuries are never easy. And I understand.
Oh,
I mean, I have some sciatic issues myself now that I got to get in my pool every day with my dogs and do laps around my pool like it's a greyhound track, holding the ball out like a greyhound rabbit so the dogs can follow me around the pool in a circle and I can work out my core to get my back feeling better. You know, I mean, back injuries are definitely no joke. So
yeah,
it's and I've learned, when you don't know trainers until you get to at least college, and it's a whole different world with how they treat the athletes and how they teach you about your body and your different muscle groups and all the stuff that you learn from the trainers. And that's really good when you got good trainers, and being heavy and a little bit overweight could absolutely contribute to your back problem. I know that for a fact. Just carrying extra weight around and things like that, that absolutely contributes to back issues.
And I kind of speculated on this a little bit this past Monday when Jordan was on the podcast about the possibility that the firing of Soup Campbell could have had something to do with the Tevin Jenkins situation because maybe he wasn't.
Who said that?
I speculated that on my last Monday's podcast, but then I heard Brad Biggs on Olin Kreutz and Jason McKee's podcast kind of saying some of that. He was kind of alluding to some of the same things that he wonders if the Soup Campbell firing might have been somehow related to the Tevin Jenkins incident because he wasn't handling the situation correct from a player development, whatever his position was. That has to do directly with the players like that.
That's very interesting, man, because I just don't, and I don't know. I'm not in that building, and again, we're speculating. I just don't know, but I'm just trying to imagine what kind of relationship that Soup might have had with some of these guys, and how much he was affected by Soup leaving. I don't know, because we know very little about these situations and speculating. I don't know. I don't want to touch that because I don't know. It sounds kind of messed up.
It does kind of sound messed up. I was surprised to hear Brad Biggs kind of say something about that too. And I don't like speculating either, but it's really all we can do, and it's
that's right, yeah.
So Tevin Jenkins, let's just put this conversation about him to bed by saying, we love you, Tevin. We wish you the best. We want you to remain a Chicago Bear. We want you to succeed. We know you're awesome. We don't want you going anywhere else. Let's just get all this worked out and get your ass on the field and start protecting our quarterback, man, and all the ways that you do. Let
me help you add to that too, because if Tevin Jenkins somehow finds this podcast and listens to it, somebody tells him about it. Understand this, man. No, there's no manual that comes with being a young person with a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of pressure on your shoulders. But the best thing you can do is concentrate on the things that you can control. And that's how you perform. Get your ass out there and just blow the doors off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just blow the doors off of them. And let that speak for everything about this whole situation. Just let your performance speak.
Put your head down, go to work.
Yeah. It's like that thing of action speaks louder than words sort of thing. I mean, I'd love him to do well. I don't want him to leave Chicago at all. I think he'd be a really good asset for us. But it's like you say, you never know what's going on behind. It's like even Greg Graybill says, you don't know what's happening in the building unless you're there. And this is a guy who was like a top NFL scout for years and years and years. So there's an element of truth to that. And I just think it's just been handled really sloppy. And I do feel for the guy because obviously he's under some mental stress because of the situation. And obviously it's always in public as well because she's such a big star. But I hope it just works out right for both sides.
Me too, because this is not the kind of talent you want to just. If there's an issue, just work it out. Just if I was the coach, I would just be spending some one-on-one time with him myself.
Yeah,
he should know. Tevin should know, and I wish this message gets to him, but he should know that the city is pulling for him more than anybody. It's just so much Tevin Jenkins love out there. Everybody just wants to see him win, and I don't want him or people to take this the wrong way about us being critical of the situation. We're not trying to be. We're just trying to figure out what the deal is. And I know I can speak for all three of us that we're pulling for that dude 110%. Get in there and show everybody what you're made of.
We don't want to see him go into some other team and become a perennial Pro Bowler.
Which seems to happen quite a lot. It just seems to happen. Yeah, it seems to happen quite a lot to the Bears, doesn't it? We seem to shift a player on and they seem to play really well.
Yeah, especially with their offensive linemen that they draft and let go. You know, Mark Colombo had a pretty good career for Dallas after they got rid of him, and
Tevin Jenkins is the epitome. The way he plays football, he is the epitome of what a Chicago Bear is. Just physical, tough, and absolutely he's disgustingly nasty when it comes to football play. Just nasty, and we love it.
As Ryan Poles likes to say, he's a prick.
Absolute prick.
I mean, you want to keep that prick on your team, man. Make all the other guys pricks too.
Hostile prick, boy.
That prick's got to rub off, right? It's going to rub off on other people and turn them into pricks too, I would imagine. So it's something you want to keep on your team.
You remember me saying to you about on the other podcast that we were building in the mold of the Ravens?
Yeah.
And all that. And listen, man, they draft a bunch of hostile pricks, man. They're just hostile pricks, man. And I love it. They're mean, and physical.
There was one thing I was rewatching the pod that we were on last time, trying to put together some clips as we were talking about the Baltimore Ravens. There's one thing I forgot to mention in our last pod was that even in this past draft, it's every single draft, you can pick out the Ravens players in the draft. Right. And you go through the draft process of trying to, pick the players you want on your team, and you can just pick them out. Oh, that guy's going to be a Raven. That guy's a Raven. That guy. And then this past draft was like the perfect example of it. Everyone that they drafted was like, as soon as it got to their pick, you're like, oh, I know what they're taking. That guy's got Raven written all over him. You can tell the kind of players that they're always trying to add to their team, and they seem to all share the same diametric. You know what I mean?
That is an absolute. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, completely agree, Dan. I mean, they always seem to get that right player, don't they? They seem to get that sort of certain type of character, mold of player, rough, tough, play to the end of the, play right to the end of the whistle, which always makes me why are the Bears so inconsistent about players picking players, and why?
We should be one of those teams too that everyone goes, oh, that guy's going to be a Bear. That guy's going to be a Bear. It's the same thing with the Steelers. You always know the Steelers in the draft, right? Yeah. You always know the Ravens in the draft. The Bears should be one of those teams too.
That's let me tell you something. That's such a bullseye that you guys just hit on. I mean, you can't overemphasize that the personality types that you're looking for in order to make the team what Eberflus is looking for and what Poles is looking for. Really fast, really physical, and just, really aggressive football play. You're not really drafting a player, you're drafting a personality type.
Right.
You're looking for certain things in a player, movement skills and different metrics and stuff that come with, football players, but that guy's personality type is more important than almost anything.
Yeah, the Bears draft this year kind of, for me, fits that mold of what we were just talking about. Like, when you look at Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker and Velus Jones and even some of the nasty offensive linemen that they drafted, those are players that I look at and I say, those guys are Chicago Bears. You know, so if they can continue, if polls can continue on this path going forward throughout the years and start to build off of this base, hopefully in a few years, we will all be able to identify the Bears coming into the draft before they even draft them.
I just want to say, Chris is just seeing Chris on the screen just triggers my inner wino. He's got me drinking beer. He's got me drinking beer already.
Hey, no, man, I've had that affect a lot of people through my life. You spend an hour with me, man. It sends everybody a drink.
You bad news, man. It's all right.
I am bad
it's barely
news.
12 o'clock here, man.
Oh, mate, I'm one of these people who always starts things early. So, yeah, I'm a bad influence. I've always been the same.
I guess it's my birthday weekend, so I guess I'm excused. But thank you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you for doing this to me.
Well, yeah, you can have a go at me tomorrow morning when you wake up.
he got me too. So it hit noon here. I was like, okay, I'll have a beer with you.
And I've only got a glass of water.
I hope it's not vodka.
Well,
this is so much fun, man. I absolutely love this stuff, man. This is so much fun. This is not one of those things where I have to be motivated to do it. This is so much fun being on here with you guys, man. I swear.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. It's a blast with you guys too.
Yeah, I love it because we are talking about the Bears, but the thing about the people I met on the Bears, Byron networking, yourself, Dan, and nobody's that everybody I met through these networks have all been really top standing people. They're all people I'd love to go for a drink with that guy, or I'd do up for that guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm absolutely loving the show, man. It's absolutely brilliant. It's great speaking to Nomad, man. I've been wanting to speak to him for a while just to see is he a real person. I don't know. Who is he? Who is he? You know what I mean?
Get used to it, man. You're going to be around, man. We're going to do this on a regular basis, man.
I'm always up for it, mate. I'm always up for a good chit-chat about the Bears.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome whenever you want, Mule. Once the season starts, we'll obviously there's going to be a lot more to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome on any time. I'm sure we're all going to have kind of the same ups and downs together as the season goes on. Hopefully a lot more ups. But
Mule is in there making some pretty good comments in there, and I do want to touch Braxton Jones when you're ready.
Oh, we can talk him right now.
No, go for it, mate.
Good segue from one offensive lineman into the other.
I always hate to say "I told you so" because it sounds like you're being a braggart, and I don't like that. But I kind of identified Braxton Jones. I didn't identify him before the draft, but when they got him, I went right to the tape. And I can't remember what chat I was in or what show, but I started looking at him like probably 7 to 10 minutes in. I said he's a natural. Right away, you could see the movement, you could see his physique, and he just looked right. Immediately I saw that. Didn't take long to pick that up. And I was just saying to myself, I'm like, if this dude can actually come in there and he's not intimidated by the NFL players that he's going to have to go in front of, which is why I was glad to hear that when he lined up against Quinn for his first rep, I was like, wow. And he stepped right up and sounded like he just killed it, and that told me everything. Everybody's talking about, no, we don't need to go on the season with a rookie left tackle. And I partly agree with that. But if a guy is ready, if he can play, he can play, man. Some guys are just born with it. And you don't want to get in his way. If that's the truth, let his ass play.
Yeah. It's definitely got it. Sorry, Danny.
No, please go ahead.
He's definitely got the right shape, ass and legs. What they always go on about. Good ass, good legs on him, long arms, great competitor. Nomad, did you used to play as an offensive lineman when you played?
No, I was a defensive back.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. So I don't know where I got from.
Skilled players is my specialty, but I'm learning over time. I was best friends with a whole bunch of offensive linemen, so I know guys like that. But yeah, I'm learning, the traits that you need to look for an offensive lineman, and some of the technique you need to be aware of for an offensive lineman. And I don't see, other than he's got thin legs, he's got thin legs, and sometimes that can get in your way a little bit when you run into a power rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So he can absolutely get pushed backwards, and it's all about him maintaining his base and being low enough to keep people from pounding him on the inside.
I thought the same thing too, Nomad. When they drafted him, I started digging into the tape, and I loved everything that I saw. And then I saw the interview process with him with the media, and then I heard him open his mouth, and I was like, "Holy shit, is this kid intelligent?"
Yeah.
What a well-grounded young man.
Yeah,
Holy
definitely.
shit. If he can combine the athletic skills that he has on the field, and he's that smart and he can learn that quickly, to me that translated him into possibly being a starter at some point this year. If we start the season with him as our left tackle, that would be an absolute pleasant surprise. It's just going to be a little scary going against Joey Bosa.
Imagine. Think about it this way: instead of worrying, we're not there. We're not seeing the details of what's going on in his training and his reps and the things that he's getting to get himself ready. But just imagine if they do put him out there first game as a starter. How impressive is that when you have a proven left tackle at Riley Reef waiting to take over that job, and they're saying, no, let's let the young guy go ahead. That's saying a whole freaking lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
And
that's impressive.
And I personally would rather see Reef playing right tackle than left tackle anyway. So if Tevin Jenkins is not ready, I said it, I think with you last week, Nomad, that I think when they first brought in Riley Reef, I thought it was just an insurance policy. And then I saw the money he could possibly make. And I guess as long as because it's loaded with incentives. So as long as he plays 25% of the snaps, which isn't much, but he starts building his incentives from there, and he can earn up to like $12.5 million. So I guess that they signed him in the hopes that Jenkins he will take the starting job, and then they have him for a backup spot, as insurance. But now with the Tevin Jenkins thing, I'm hoping that, and it's most likely looking like they're going to keep him at right for now, especially if Jones is doing so well.
Holy shit. If this guy ends up being the starter, holy shit.
Yeah. I know. Right?
That is awesome, man. You imagine how good are you as an evaluator? Poles just gets in there and year one finds a franchise left tackle in the 5th round.
Right. That would be impressive.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And let's not forget, Nomad, he did that with 5 picks. So before he traded Khalil Mack, and everyone was, kind of rightfully so, setting their hair on fire that Khalil Mack was traded for a 2nd this year and a 6th next year. And I was kind of hoping at least a 6th in this, 2 of them in the same draft, so we don't have to at least wait for next year's draft because we needed the picks now, But then he turns that 6th round pick into 2 7ths this year. So he ends up getting basically 3 picks for Khalil Mack in this year's draft. And then from there he has 8 picks. And then he ends up adding 3 more for a total of 11. And by doing all that, you manage to trade down and build draft capital, and you find a 5th round starting left tackle. I mean, that would be a hell of a feat of general managing right there. If he turns out,
Shorty, you guys, what this draft reminds me of, and I told Shorty privately that I used to be a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. I was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan alongside being Bears fan. It works if you want it to. I'm always going to be a homer, but I did love the Dallas Cowboys until they started doing things, and that's a whole other story. But you know what this draft reminded me of? It was the draft when Jimmy Johnson came on to the Cowboys.
Yes.
And they had, that's what this feels like. I think, and I'm part being a homer, but at the same time, the more and more I keep looking at these players that they drafted, I think they just smacked it out of the freaking park, man. I'm telling you, it's not just Braxton Jones. I wanted to touch this before we got out of that last pod we did. But let me tell you something. That dude, Jitiri Carter, you guys do yourselves a favor. Find everything you can on this dude. And I'm going to tell you something. This dude is a grown ass man. He's got NFL strength and power right now. Right now, walking in, that there is very few players that can walk in and have grown man strength. So that takes a couple, 2 or 3 years for a player to build that usually. Oh, he's got it walking right in the door. Walking right in the door. That dude is, and then if you listen to him talk in his interviews, you know, if you can peel back the layers of what he's trying to say to you, he's telling you nobody's going through me at all. You can forget that. You might have to go around me, but you're going to work. But you're not going through me. And that told me everything I needed to know about him because then I watched him at the, I think it was the Senior Bowl or something in his workouts. And he was and they were out there on wet turf. That's the advantage of the defensive player. They can just drive you backwards. And he was holding it down like a dog, man. I'm telling you, this dude he's a dude. I'm telling you guys.
And there's a lot of I think it was earlier in the week or last week, there was there was something going around on Twitter about an image of the rookie Dominique Robinson just blowing right past him to get to David Montgomery, who ended up doing a spin move and getting out of it. I mean, they weren't tackling. They weren't even in pads yet.
Jitiri Carter?
No, I'm sorry. You were talking about Jitiri Carter. I was trying to chat mule here. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Okay. I thought you were still talking about Braxton.
No, I slipped into Jitiri.
Talking about. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, to Jitiri Carter, you were saying watch everything you can on him. I have watched a lot of stuff on him, and coming out of college, I thought, holy shit, it looks like this guy could compete for a right guard. You know,
absolutely.
And you're seeing some of the stuff that he's doing in practice now, holding his own against Justin Jones, and kind of making us all wonder if we should have actually gone out and signed Larry Ogunjobi, you know, because you're seeing him dominate someone that we signed to be our starting 3 technique.
Remember what I told you about the details? And I listened to things really, really carefully and close. I can remember polls being asked, and I don't remember if it was I believe it was at the combine or something like that. But somebody asked him, you know, what are the attributes you look for in an offensive lineman? What are the things that you absolutely looking for right away? And first thing came out of his mouth is muscle density. Muscle density. And the minute you look at Jitiri Carter, that's the first thing. If you look at him, I mean, he is built. I mean, from the nose to the toes, that's a thick dude, and he's strong. He's just not one of those thick, pudgy guys that's soft. I mean, he is strong. And just to have that in mind if you want to go back over those videos or whatever you saw, keep that in mind, what Poe said and what Jitiri Carter looks like from the nose to the toes.
I wonder what his body fat percentage is.
I don't know, but I tell you one thing, that is a strong guy, man. He reminds me of Larry Allen. That's what he reminds me of. Wow. Every time I look at him, and everything about him reminds me of Larry Allen.
See, he's trying to get his height and weight here. Just curious what his measurables are.
Kind of kid that can lift a damn F-150 if you need.
He is 6'3", 311 pounds. Boy, if that's not the perfect guard size.
Yeah. Impressive.
It's got 33 5/8 arms.
So what if Poles rock that out? How about that, man?
Yeah.
How about that shit?
That would be
that and Braxton Jones would be a right giraffe, would if they could both play within the first year.
Yeah.
And I don't want to poo-poo Mr. Doug Kramer either. That is absolutely the out of all the centers I looked at, he is absolutely the most athletic one of the bunch. How fast he engages on the first block and hurry ups and gets up to the second level to get that second block and opens up that hole. That's some shit. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen that fast. How fast he does it. He's if he just keeps getting strong and just keeps building his muscles, that dude is going to be the starting center for the Chicago Bears for a while. Lucas Patrick, I like him, but watch out, dude.
I do have some concerns with his strength.
It's going to take time.
Yeah,
it's going to take time for him.
Yeah, but he's not. I mean, Olin Kreutz was undersized for an offensive lineman. He was only like 6'2", 285 pounds or something. Granted, it was a different era, but like, you know, even Olin Kreutz himself has said, you know, practicing against Ted Washington when he was younger like that and having that massive piece of land he had to move all the time really helped him with his strength and his core and knowing how to get under that weight and push it out of his way correctly. And he, you know, credits those big hogs with helping him when he was a rookie to get to where he was. Doug,
guys, give me 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
No worries. Doug Kramer. I just trying to find out what Doug Kramer's size is compared to Olin Kreutz, just to see how much more can he
sort of put on.
Yeah, what can he put on for? Say he's 6'2", 300 pounds.
Well, that's a good size.
He's got 10 pounds on Olin Kreutz. Yeah, from a different era, but
like okay, I'm back. Who are we talking about?
I was just finding this. Doug Kramer is 6'2", 300 pounds. Olin Kreutz played at 6'2", 290 ish. So if Olin Kreutz was able to learn from the big pigs in the middle like Ted Washington and Keith Traylor, trying to move those islands around to create passing lanes, running lanes, all that stuff, that made him better. So, and I'm looking at Kramer's measurables compared to Kreutz. If he can build that core strength, maybe I'm sure Olin would have him in his gym to help him train. I mean,
you know what, Shorty? Before I forget about it, who's your friend? Who's your buddy? You told me that was the big Illini fan.
Yeah, my buddy Siggy.
Yeah, I hope he's listening or gets to this show because he's gonna like what I gotta say. And they're building their O-line factory, and at Brett Bielema is, I think, the best O-lineman coach out there. And the way he's training those guys and teaching those guys, they're doing the exact thing with that offensive line we're doing here in with the Bears. And they absolutely pound people. You understand me? Pound them. So they're getting something, a guy that absolutely knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And he's just going to get better and better at it and stronger at it. And he's going to be a stud.
He came from, like you're saying, one of the best off. I mean, that's their line had run the ball really well. That's the thing that they do well. So the offensive line coaching that he got at Illinois really was some of the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Big Ten's known for offensive linemen. That's what they put out in the draft the most. Trying to get a banner going here. Let's see if I can do this. My wife was in Florida, and Kitty's usually running the show for me, but I've been doing this for the last several shows and just trying to get better at it. And I want to put a banner down here. Let's see if I can get this to work.
J2K, what's up, my guy?
J2K, man, thanks for joining us. Let's see if I can't get the banner to work. Let's see. Let's try that. There we go. I just want to get it out here to let anybody know if they want to join us on Bears Country Podcast, please email us at bearscountrypodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to bring you on. We can set up a time to bring you on the show and talk Bears with you. Anyone that doesn't really feel like being in chat, you can join us on the show, and we'd love to have you on.
We can get in here so we can chop it up, guys. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
There we go. There we go. That's kind of what I'm trying to build here with this show is, like you, Chris. It's nice to be able to go into all the chat rooms and you see all the same guys and you all become Bears friends, And I
That's right, yeah.
wanted to dedicate this to everybody to be able to come on the show and speak your mind and have a conversation with us, and instead of just sitting in chat.
Oh yeah, I mean, since I've been involved with the Byron Network, I've got to know so many new people, especially via Twitter, like Nomad, and we have a good time on Twitter and a good laugh, and it's nice seeing us names in different chats and different shows. It starts feeling like a community, and we're not obviously. I don't have anybody to talk about the Bears of over here because nobody else is bothered. So like. Every week I'm like bursting to go, I need to talk about the Bears to somebody. So, being on the network and then being on your shows all Dan, it's a great outlet for me to just talk about the Bears and something I absolutely love.
Well, that's awesome, Chris. I'm glad to hear that because, I mean, we can have you on. We can have you on as a regular. Talk Bears with us once a week. I mean,
Oh, I'm up for that, man. I'm up for that because I say I can do it any time you want, and my schedule is very, very flexible. So don't feel tired down to suiting my time, Dan. Whatever time's good for you, or whatever time you want the show to be on, I can do it. So, like when I did the Dan and Aldo show at like 2:00 in the morning. I can do that. It's really not an issue for me. So, yeah, I'd love to come back and chat with you and Nomad again. It'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
I think.
Yep. Did we lose you? I
think you might have gone.
I think we lost him. We can't hear your audio anymore, buddy. But yeah. So if I did if I did an 8 p.m. that'd be 1 o'clock your time. That doesn't seem to be fair to you.
Honestly, Dan, it really doesn't bother me at all. Honestly, it really is an issue about time, and I like you to have your show on the time you want to have the show on, so you can build up a following, and so you're not having shows at different times. So any time's good for me. And the only time I can't do it is when I'm doing the Barfly Tailgate show with the guys on the Byron Network before the game, but. Apart from that, any time's good for me.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. I think we're going to be doing a pregame, so we could even have you on for some pregame chat too, because that's suitable for your time as well, and you're going to be watching the game anyway too, I imagine. So
I mean, the only problem with that is I actually do the tailgate show with the guys on the Byron Network. Prior to the game, so depending on what time you want to do it, I can do it.
My apologies. That's correct. The Tailgate Network would be a pregame, wouldn't
it? Which this is another thing as well. We don't have anything like a tailgate over in this country for sports. We don't have anything like that at all. It's completely different culture over here when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, I bet it's got to be. As a Bears fan, it's got to be like you said. You need someone to talk to. It's like I got to talk about Bears with somebody right now.
It's just not like I need to speak to somebody. I need somebody to recognize me as a Bears fan.
Oh man, we're going to make you famous, man.
I can do it any time you want, and my schedule is very, very flexible. So don't feel tied down to.
No, that feedback was coming from Nomad. Nomad, we're getting feedback from your phone. Your audio cut out, but we were hearing.
Been up with me from about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, we were hearing Chris from about 2 minutes ago. Let's see if he's got it now. You there?
I can hear you guys.
Okay. I can hear you, mate.
I was just typing in the chat that I've got a line of weather over us right now, and it might be in and out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be great to. I'm thinking about possibly a post game.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm doing Monday nights. I know I've been kind of all over the place right now. I'm excited because I'm getting feedback from people who are in chat with us and they want to join the show. And so I kind of just want to create, the extra content for now, I'm not going to be going as, I don't think we're going to be going as crazy as we kind of have been in this past couple of weeks, just trying to get as much content out there. I think once the season starts, we're going to have, we might even come on and just, if we've got a wild hair up our ass, we might just come on and do like a quick 30-minute podcast just to get the shit off of our chest kind of a thing. But once the season starts, I don't really want to compete with Monday Night Football, especially if the Bears are playing on a Monday night. I don't want to, and we want to watch the games. And now that we got a podcast going here, it's like kind of want to keep abreast on the NFL situation as well.
Shorty, let me give you a compliment, man, because I want everybody out there listening and watching this stuff to know. Rarely have I run into somebody who is as much or more passionate about the Bears than me. Rarely. I don't. Matter of fact, you might be the first, because I'm very passionate about the Bears, and I know it's a whole motherload of people out there that are just as passionate as we are. And this show is going to be something that everybody wants their voices heard, and it's just not enough out there.
Mm-hmm.
And this, hey, dude, you're very passionate about this, and it jibes with the kind of guy I am and how I digest Bears content. I'm always looking for stuff, and it's almost like I get pissed off when we don't have somebody out there streaming live and talking about the Bears, because I want to be a part of it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm the same. Yeah.
It's like I kind of told you, Nomad, but Chris doesn't really have my story. So this is my little work nook. I work from home, and I have my two computers here. Then above me, I have a television, and I'm working, and I was putting on podcasts and stuff and listening to the podcasts, and then I was just like, I need to hear some Bears stuff, So I started to try to find as much Bears stuff as I could. A lot of it was, media podcasts and things like that. Hogan Johns, Adam Rank, there's another one that Kenneth Davis does. It's NBC related.
Under the center, is it? I like Kenneth Davis. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
He just comes over as such a nice person.
Is it big sweetheart?
Yeah, you just think I'd love to meet him. I bet he's such a nice dude. But I would assume you. I mean, before I sort of, I like to watch other podcasts. Sort of is it the CHGO network? That they're all right, and Hodge and Johns, but they get like a little bit sort of like a bit moany about the weather, or we got to go to Green Bay when it's cold, and I'm thinking, I'd give my arm and a leg to do what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
right.
Come on, boys. Just man up a little bit and get on with it. But I mean, the only network I really follow is obviously the Byron network, because I'm a part of it, and obviously yourself, Dan. So it's great when you just it gets quite addictive as well doing these sort of things. I found. I mean, I want to literally do like a podcast with like guys like you. I'd be quite happy to do one every day or every other day. I've got quite addicted to doing them, and especially like we just got through the off season where there's nothing much going on, or it's all stipulation. I felt like I was coming down off a drug or something. It was very weird. It felt like like an addict going, God, I need to fix a Bears chat with the guys and see what people say and the guys in chat and stuff. So I think what you're doing is great, Dan.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that. I mean, this is all driven from kind of that same thing we were just talking about. It's like I love all those podcasts too, but I like the ones that are a little more or less media related, and we get some good content from the fans. And this is really dedicated to the fans. That's why, we're gonna have moments where we're gonna swear. I don't care. We're gonna have moments where we're gonna be drinking beer. I don't care. It's all going to help to make an organic, real, feeling of you're talking to fans. And Nomad, I appreciate you saying that about me too, because that's literally the same thing all of my friends and family say. I mean, I was telling Nomad Chris that I've missed family parties because I was like, why are you? There's a Bears game on.
You're gonna be late to his funeral trying to watch a Bears game.
I'm not driving all the way out to Schaumburg. I'm gonna miss the game. So my wife got me this mic years ago, and for my birthday, and I was like, what is this for? And she's like, for you to do a Bears podcast. And I'm literally like, what the hell is a podcast? So
you know something, I see J2Ks, and I also appreciate that kind of stuff because I knew nothing about how it come across talking my passion, and this is what this is our passion. It's our passions, and to be well received by people, it's like a dream come true to me because I had no idea, and all I'm doing is just really being really passionate about stuff I love. This is like heaven to me to be in here, having the ability to be able to talk about my team and the details about it. And if I can give you something a little extra that you may not have paid attention to, or give you a little layer to what it is about football, some of the things to pay attention to. If I can give you a little nugget, it's my pleasure, man. I'm here for it.
And you also sound like the coolest fucker in the world as well, mate.
Oh, you might like me.
When we had him on the first time on Thursday, I was talking to him after the show, and I was like, "Are you sure you're not Alex Brown?" He sounds like Alex Brown to me.
I think it's my laugh, man. I think it's my laugh.
Yeah, sure. You were a defensive back. I got it. You're trying to throw me off from the defensive end. I got you.
Yeah. I do have. I didn't know my voice was that deep until I listened to the show after you posted it. I had no idea.
Yeah, you got a great voice.
Yeah, you got a great baritone voice, mate. I'm telling you, I keep expecting to break out with some beautiful soul singing or something with that voice.
I sound like Luther Vandross in the damn shower. But
you do, mate.
I
feel like I sound like Kermit the Frog. Like, hello, Kermit the Frog.
I talk a bit like that.
I've always thought I sounded like Kermit the Frog.
How beautiful is this?
I mean, I can remember.
How beautiful is this outlet? Man? The release.
Yeah, and also as well is it's the way with the topics being discussed is in a intellectual manner rather than I've watched some shows and it's just two blokes shouting at the TV, effing and whining and and you just think I don't want to listen to this for 2.5 hours really.
No.
So I like the way we're doing it. Like it's like how we do it on the Byron network. That's what attracted me to watching that network in the first place. Obviously Aldo and all the guys, and that's the sort of way I like to discuss football.
Yeah, we're all a big fan of the Barroom Network. They do a lot of good stuff over there. It's very inspiring, I must say, for sure.
I will still watch the show.
Oh, definitely.
I still love that stuff.
That's why I'm literally trying to do this around them because I don't want to compete with them. I enjoy them myself too. So
it's a good idea. It's respectful, man.
Yeah, that's why I didn't pick a Tuesday night. I figured if I go to a Wednesday when the season starts, I won't interfere with Dan and Aldo or Bare Necessities on the Thursday. So, I love everything they're doing over there. I'm big fans. So
we're gonna have to crash their tailgate show and blow that shit up.
I'm trying to get Aldo on here one day too. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Come on, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Aldo's such a top guy. Aldo he's one of the best people I've sort of got to know over the last sort of year or so. He's such a genuinely good person and very inspiring as well. And I just love how he comes over and how he interacts with people. And I class him as a good friend. Everybody on the bar room I work with, I class them as all very, very good friends because we all just click. And it's it doesn't very often happen that way as well. Sometimes you have to work at things when you first start in a group of people. But it's like today, with you and with Dan and Nomad. It's just been that natural flow. It's been so enjoyable.
I appreciate that. I agree.
Aldo is like my drunk ass big brother.
Yeah, man. He's an awesome guy.
he's sage though, man. He's got a lot of experience and a lot of know-how as far as this stuff goes, and it's nice knowing that he's in good standings with both of us, and we can lean on him a little bit, and maybe get better at this stuff.
Absolutely, and kind of cross-pollinating, it's help to build our brand too, and we'll support each other, and good. I can't imagine anything but good things coming from it.
That's right.
It kind of leads me into a little segment that I wanted to do with you, Chris. I kind of asked you the question when you were on Dan and Aldo last time about can you give me an accent? Can you talk like me?
Can I talk like you? I don't know. Yeah. Can I talk like you, Dan?
There you go. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, Dan.
I
can talk like you, mate. I can talk like you. It's no problem.
I'll give you a Kermit the Frog impersonation.
Yeah. But I always turn into sort of like some mafia. I always want to go, hey, Tony, hey, like I'm Italian American, but yeah, I sounded terrible when I try to do an American accent. Actually, it was terrible. But why don't you try and do a Yorkshire accent, Dan?
Well, I was going to say, whenever I get around, like people talking with an accent like this, I just can't help myself but to talk like them. I could literally sit here and talk with you like this all day.
Wow, that was more like a Cockney sort of London accent going on there, mate. You were a bit like Mary Poppins.
Well, let me see if I can say that you're a bit more like Mary Poppins.
Yeah, bit more like Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah, well, Yorkshire it's quite a deep term, but very flat. I think a Yorkshire accent is. Yeah, well done, Dan. I like that.
But it's not you don't pronounce your T's. You say but.
No.
But you say but.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I love it because my wife was in Edinburgh. She was my wife is actually she's been on she's been in the film industry for over 25 years. She was an accountant for that's what took us here to Georgia was they have a huge tax break here for the film industry. And so we started to we just moved here because she was working on all the movies here. And she ended up doing the last 5 movies she did before she left the film industry and kind of gravitated into the credit card company that handles the film industry. She did Ant-Man, Captain America, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy. She did they were all Marvel movies. She did Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then she did Captain America, Civil War, and Endgame. And
awesome.
And she was in Edinburgh for a month working on Civil War or one of the because they filmed them both back to back, and so it was it was the biggest budget in the history at the time. It was over $1 billion budget because they were filming the 2 movies together.
Wow!
And then releasing them as 2 separate movies. So she was in Edinburgh for a month, and we have 2 dogs here that I have no family here in Georgia. I couldn't just leave them with anyone for a month. I'm not going to kennel them. So I missed out on being able to go to Edinburgh. And as much as she really wanted me there, she also says to me, I'm kind of glad that you didn't because you would have been fucking talking like the Scottish people the whole time. And you would have been embarrassing the hell out of me. I'd have been like, no. I'm telling you, by the end of the time I was there, I would have them convinced I was a local. She's like, no, you would not have. They would have had you pegged from day one, man.
You know what, man? I know we're all feeling each other out and getting used to each other and having fun, but we better not be tone deaf. You know these sons of what's are in here for Bears content. You know that, right?
I know.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
They're like, come on, man. It's because I used to be like that. Like, come on, dude.
You're right, no, but the trouble I have is I do go off on tangents. So you do right to bring me back into the direction we should be doing.
I do the same thing. So thank you for reminding me, Nomad.
It's all good. I'm probably prone to it myself because I got a couple of drunk stories I could tell you last night, but we'll save that for later. Let's say that for later. Let's hit them with some of the stuff they want.
All right, let's talk about some of the injuries we have here on the wide receiver room. We got Byron Pringle is out, I think, with a quad, and N'Keal Harry. Does anybody know what happened to him? I haven't actually found out what happened to him yet.
You know, I had a list of things. I got 6 things here, and that was the number one thing up on the list. I'll tell you what I wrote down. And this is just my instincts tell me this is what I see happen. Now, there are a couple of injuries that's probably legit, but there's also Flus is buckling a few guys down to give these other guys a clean look. Some of them guys and a couple of them are already stepping up. Guys like Tajay Sharp, guys like David Moore. And it's intentional. They're putting these guys, get in there and get you some ice baths and some heat, do all that kind of stuff, get in the pool. But we want to give these guys a clean look. And I think that's a lot of what's happening. There are some legitimate injuries, I'm sure. But a lot of this is making sure everybody gets a clean look.
You said you mentioned David Moore, and I was surprised to hear he's still on the team. Is he still?
Oh, yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get into that?
Sure.
Yeah, get into it, mate.
I based on everything I've heard, if it were me and I'm the coach or the GM or in that building, this guy has not had a history of reckless behavior. Doesn't have a criminal record. Doesn't have that kind of history that would alarm you and say, hey, you know what? I don't know if I want this guy on. And everybody just took off on him. And it wasn't fair. I don't think it was stupid what he did. And I'm sure whatever happened on the inside of that building was fairly punitive, and it probably cost him some money. And they said, don't let it happen again. Get your ass back out there and show me why we brought you in
here. Just for the audience, do you guys know what happened to him?
Is he the guy what were found in the car asleep with a gun and some weed?
Yeah.
They took off on the guy. That was unfair.
So he was he drunk though?
I'm sure he was drunk and high. Yeah. Probably high at least with messing around with those edibles or something, and probably fell asleep. And he's got a gun on him in Chicago. You better have something on you.
Actually, no, he was in Texas.
Even in Texas, shit, it's bad out there too.
Well, yeah, the weed thing in Texas will get you in trouble. But the gun thing shouldn't have, right?
Right.
I mean, obviously, if you don't want to be drunk or high, falling asleep in your car at a Taco Bell with a gun on you.
How anybody could get arrested with a gun in Texas is beyond me. Those cowboy motherfuckers. Right. How you gonna arrest somebody for a gun?
Right. That's the first thing I thought was like Texas, and what else is going on with this? But yeah. So I guess you make a good point there, Nomad, that. He doesn't really have a criminal record, and it wasn't like he was, completely. The NFL has really laxed on the weed thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Texas hasn't, but the NFL has. So I don't know how much slack they'll give him for that. I wonder how many. I just wonder if he does stick with the team. Do you think he's going to get some suspensions from miss some games from this?
No, he's probably already got what he's going to get from them. As far as punitive part of it, it's probably cost his ass in the wallet.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I have to find him.
Yeah, for sure. So what was next on your list? You were talking about the N'Keal theory.
I don't know. I didn't hear anything. We should have. He actually should have. Wasn't there interviews after practice today?
I haven't. I was so busy yesterday. I hadn't seen my wife in a week, and she got home last night, and it was not time to work on this fucking podcast. I said, I tell you that much.
that would have been cool if we would have been able to get that on live and talk about how those interviews went.
Yeah, I know. I would like to do that. I kind of tried to do that last time with you, Nomad, and I didn't have any sound. It's
all right, man.
Still learning here how to make.
You're a caveman right now, man. You get out of there and get the right electricity sooner or later.
Yeah, I'm still trying.
You're just sort of learning curve, mate. That's what it is, isn't it? It's sort of like the 4th or 5th podcast. Give it another month when we're into the season, you'll be breezing through it.
Well, I mean, for the amount of views we've gotten so far, I'm actually pretty impressed for being.
Oh, good.
I'm still trying to chip that square into a circle to make it a wheel, so like you said. But I do appreciate everybody for watching, because you go and look at some of the older pods, that are other pods that are out there, and you go look at some of the big, the first podcasts that they did, and there's a lot more views on Bears Country than some of the other ones I've seen as far as podcast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm happy with that. I think
Good.
Now with Nomad on here and us starting to build this fan base that we can have on and talk, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna get better.
I'm gonna piss some people off with this statement, but I want you to look at the details before you rush to judgment about what I'm about to say. But I get the inclination that Harry might not make the team, and if it were me, looking at both players' tape, I would definitely keep Tajay Sharp before I kept N'Keal Harry.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's a hell of a blocker and everything, and that's what everybody's talking about. I get that, but as far as movement ability and just his dexterity, this dude is a more versatile player than N'Keal Harry. It's just the truth. Yeah,
a lot of people. There's been talk about him maybe playing tight end some, because his measurables are. So
that's almost a slap in the face when you're talking to guys on that level, right?
Oh, I know.
I know guys that have been asked to switch positions in situations like that. They were offended, but they know it's a business, and they know if this is the lane that they need to go down to stay on the field or stay in the league, you have to do it. You get over your freaking attitude about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do ask him to do that, he's gonna be pissed, and he's gonna be a little butthurt and crying. But you better get your head together, because if that's how, this is your last chance, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then from what I'm reading here, it says a pretty significant leg injury.
Ooh.
So he said he had difficulty putting weight on his left leg after he was helped up to the locker room. So if
that doesn't mean surgery, guys. That does not mean surgery.
No,
that means. Go ahead.
I'm just saying it might mean that he's not going to make the team, like you said.
Depends on how long he's gonna. Depends on how much football he misses. They may have to waive him with a injury reward of whatever they were going to pay him out to. But who knows? It could be just sometimes it feels bad, and then they go do the MRI and they can't find any structural problems, and you're telling them I'm still hurting pretty bad. Well, you don't have any tears or any structural damage. You just need to, take some time off of it. Sometimes it's just that.
Could be a bone bruise or just a deep bruise or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember one practice. I got out there and I came down at the jump ball, and I came down wrong on my left leg, and I thought everything in that thing collapsed, and I was just crying, not because of the pain. I just knew my season was over.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to the trainer, and they going over stuff, and they moving my stuff around, and it was hurting like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
And then end up doing the MRI and all that kind of stuff, and the doctor could find nothing. Could find nothing. He said, "Dude, that was just a high impact landing, and it's hurting your joints. So you may have joint swelling and things stuff like that happens, and it goes down, inflammation, that kind of stuff."
And
so,
like a bone bruise.
Yeah,
kind of.
On that particular injury, how long did it take you to recover from?
About 3 weeks of just a lot of ice and heat and keeping the swelling down.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. And before you know it, you're up doing, within a week and a half, you're up doing physical things again, and then you just start ramping you up doing more and more.
So if he missed 3 weeks from here, that would be
that's damn near curtains for him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That would that would be like right around the last preseason game, or even back by the first game of the season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at this schedule here.
Depending on how much they value the guy. I mean, I could be very wrong when I say that might be curtains for him, because they might value him more than I think they do. And they say, you know what, we want to get you all the way healthy and give you another crack at it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah, if it was 3 weeks, that would put him right to game 1 of the season. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Pretty much.
What else did you have on that list you have?
Let me go in here. I'm walking around. Another thing I wanted to talk about was seems to me they're looking for length at the will linebacker position because they cut. I think they cut a couple of linebackers, didn't they? Or just one? They cut two UDFAs. One was Christian Albright, which was the lengthier of the two linebackers, and they cut CJ Avery, who was the speedier of the two. And they brought in two different linebackers. Can't think of the names right now, but both of them are lengthy.
Mm.
And he seems to like guys with certain traits at that will position.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me I think that's going to be a revolving door all the way up to kickoff, that position.
Mm-hmm. So revolving door, what do you mean by that? Like, so where do you think Roquan's playing?
Roquan, he's going to be the guy, but until they solidify his contract and get everything buckled down, he's got to find the right people and the right depth at that position for them to be effective.
Right.
Don't seem like they have it there.
Mm.
Not yet.
No, I agree. I think we're quite thin on the linebacker group as a general, really. I think it's a group what's, probably one of the weakest groups as a part of the defense, especially compared to what they're doing with the defensive backs. So, yeah, I completely agree with Nomad on that one.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to find who it was that they just signed. They signed a defensive back, and was it a linebacker?
I think they got somebody from Denver as a quarterback.
Yes. Denver, yes. And who was the other guy? Was that the linebacker you're talking about, Nomad?
I think
one guy was with the Raiders, kind of long, pretty fast. I can't think of the guy's name right off the top of my head. Chris got me drinking and shit.
I always get blamed for that shit, man. What are you on about? Oh, well, Chris is here. It's all going to go pear-shaped. It usually happens at Nomad.
Every time I'm drunk, Jack.
Yeah, I'm spreading the vibe 8,000 miles away to you, Nomad.
As a matter of fact, I got to go pay the water bill now, guys. Hold on.
Where are you at, the water department? What are you doing? He's like, no, I gotta write the check and put it in the letter and take it to the mailbox, man. I'll be right back.
But Dan, what would you class as success for the Bears this coming season? What would you class as that's been a better season than the previous and maybe the last two?
What I want to see is first and foremost, I think the key is something I'm not even really talking about mostly, which is the defense flying around, getting to the ball. Like we were talking about some of those picks kind of being Bears picks, like Bears guys, like Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker. Those guys are, when I think of Chicago Bears players in the mold of someone who I would, if you're looking at a draft, those are two guys I would pick to be Bears, right? So I'm really excited about what I mean. Brisker himself is a beast. He's picking off balls left and right in camp, and he's just turning everyone's heads. And so is Gordon. And so I think that defense gelling. I think the secondary is going to be strong enough to keep their defensive line in the game. I think they're going to get a lot of coverage sacks. But that's kind of going without being said. So for me, after that, it's all Justin Fields for me. Like Justin Fields, obviously the offensive line, but Justin Fields has to take that next step. He has to. I really truly believe he's going to.
I'm back, guys. By the way,
did you run to the water department and pay your bill?
Yeah, I had to go. I had to pay the bill, man. You only renting beer. You got to get rid of it soon.
But that's what you meant. That's all I got.
You really thought I had to go pay the bill?
He thought you were paying the bill.
Right over your head, man.
Oh, well, I was like, man, I gotta write this water bill check and put it in the envelope. I got you now. I was just saying when he came back that he asked me what I thought the improvements would be for the team, and I started with defense, and then I was saying Justin Fields is the key. Obviously, offensive line, but Justin Fields is the key for me in this season because if he blows up like I think he can, like I think he will, just from what you've been seeing, and he's working on his release, he's making it more compact. They're training him in this offense. And I was saying to Nomad the other day that when you're kind of watching him in practice and they're doing some of the rollout, like handoff drills and then running to his left and throwing the ball and vice versa, you can see kind of the Green Bay training that's going on in there. Like he's making a lot of the same body language is very similar to Aaron Rodgers so far from what I've seen. And if they can build on that teaching by, really compacting his release, his footwork is important too, because if his feet are in the right position, it allows for the ball to come out quicker. I think some of his windup last year might have been from just some of his footwork too. So you clean both of those things up. I really think it's possible that it's most likely he's going to have one of those seasons where everyone's going to be talking about Justin Fields. And if that's the case, I think they're easily going to win 9 games. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. I have them going 11-6, but that's just my, right. I know it's not realistic, but that's my over optimism.
Yeah. Sorry, no, but go on, mate.
No, go, Chris, go.
I was just going to say we were discussing this on the tailgate show. I think I give the Bears 9 wins. They're definitely going to get over 500. I definitely believe they're going to get over 500. And I just think really it'd just be nice for the Bears to once have the offense on the same level as the defense, because our offense has been so weak and poor. It's probably been the worst part of the team for not forever, but for many years. The Bears offense has never been up there with the defense. And I just want them to put more work into the offense and get it clicking and get it going again and make it so like, we're a complete team instead of always relying on the Bears defense and, like Nomad said about the tradition of we're traditionally known as a running and also as a defensive team. And I think really this day and age of what the NFL's like with how much they pass the ball, I really want the Bears offense just to start showing up.
Mm-hmm. Coming in the era.
And Chris is way right. But I don't think we should expect a 40-point team. I think 20 to 24 points is more reasonable, depending on how many times the defense gets takeaways. I could be very wrong about that. Mm-hmm. However, defense is the glue here, and that's just that. That's the way it's always going to be. And I'm glad we got back to that strategy and that mold. Mm-hmm. However, I just heard you talking about Justin, and what I see, you told me to send you that Peter King interview, and we gotta find that. But I was listening to it very carefully, and I'm sure of when you're a quarterback, especially a quarterback in the NFL. I've heard it being spoken in college. There needs to be an inner timer inside your head. 1001, 1002, 1003. That ball needs to be gone, or your ass needs to be gone. One of the two. Mm-hmm. And I think they're working on that with him, getting his inner clock going on in his head, and he's saying he's trusting his feet with the decision that he's making. So that's telling me that inner clock is going on in his head, and those feet are pointing in different directions, and he's making decisions based on that.
Mm-hmm. And if we can actually have a modern quarterback on this team, one that can throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns at least. I mean, if there was ever a quarterback that I had the hope for, it's Justin Fields.
You're going to get more and more comfortable with that fact the more and more you listen to him talk. Whenever he gets out in front of a camera and they start asking him certain questions, especially that interview I was telling you about. If you listen to it carefully, he's telling you everything you need to know and the details that they're working on him with. Mm-hmm. And this dude, and he's absorbing it. And it's just, he's already a dynamic football player to begin with, whether it be his running or whether it be his throwing. He's an absolute dime thrower. Mm-hmm. And just to be able to his intermediate game is what it seems like they're working on ferociously. Just having him be able to don't be mad to check that thing down to a back. Don't be mad to dump that thing off to Cole Kmet. Get it out of there. Get it out of there and let them make a play.
Or at worst case, to throw it out of bounds.
Right, even that.
Yeah.
And hopefully they improve that slide too, because he wasn't sliding like a baseball player.
Oh my God, it scared me a couple times.
Oh,
and
man.
also as well, his ball handling, the amount of fumbles he gave away last season were far too high for me. Ball protection, it's one of your main priorities when you're running without football. But I think as well, this year, I'm just hoping that, we've got the right sort of play caller for him. But I think that, you think last year he had to put up with so much shit. Basically, in training camp, he didn't get the first team reps last year. And then he was forced in as a starter because of an injury. And then he had the incompetence of Matt Nagy to deal with. And his play calling. And also the overall general scheme of the offense. So, I'm just hoping that, this guy... am I right in thinking that the guy from Green Bay has never called plays in a game? Am I right with that?
Getsy?
Yeah, Getsy, yeah.
No, he didn't call the plays in Green Bay. That's the reason why he came to the Bears, because
right.
They would have made him the offensive coordinator, but then the head coach was still going to call the plays. So
sure,
that's what got him.
Something, Shorty. Here's another nugget I can give out to you guys and the viewers about play calling. Now, there's some. Be honest with you, Matt Nagy he's probably a great play designer, play caller, and sequencing of plays, meaning that how the game is flowing, right?
The situation,
and how the defense is reacting to the things that you call. You may not want to get out of the run game and hop up and throw a pass when you've got these dudes backing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sequence of how you call plays and the timing of which you call plays. That affects a defense. When you're playing defense and let's say you're winded out there. I was telling you about this before, Shorty. Last thing you want to do is see them get into a run formation. And you could tell when it's a run formation based on the splits of the offensive linemen. And you just in your head like, shit, here they come again, right down at us. Yeah. Why get away from that when it's working?
Right. He never knew how to set up his plays for a future play. He never worked himself into a rhythm that would start getting people thinking one thing, and then he would turn around and attack them with what, the opposite of what was working, just to throw them off. He always seemed to kind of have it in his head where he wanted to do what he wanted to do. And this was the play he was going to call next period. And he never allowed the team to get into a rhythm. I mean, how many times Montgomery ran the ball, so well, you got, you bust off a long run and they take him out of the game. They bust off.
They don't start grinding it down, do they? They don't start. I mean, do you reckon if Nagy wasn't the head coach and he was just the offensive coordinator, do you think he would have been better? Or not?
No, I don't, because I think that's what he was trying to do the most, was call the damn plays and not be the head coach.
Yeah.
Right. So it just pisses me off when you see Monty break off a run for 30 yards down to the 2, and then he puts in Tariq Cohen on the goal line. Like, first off, Montgomery just got into a rhythm. He got you down there. Give him the damn ball one more time. He's going to get a touchdown. You're putting in the smallest back on a goal line situation. He never set anything up for play action. His first year, he had a bunch of really nice gimmick plays that worked really well because nobody was thinking about them, right? But then that never transpired into him using the offense to where people weren't going to think of the next play. They always knew what it was.
You ever watch one of those movies where there's this brilliant engineer or architect and he's got all these formulas and drawings and stuff around on boards and different kind of stuff and just all that stuff. I could just imagine Matt Nagy in a room just drawing. He's got a wonderful mind, but he was so unrealistic. Like, dude, you cannot call these plays when you don't have the personnel to pull it off. The fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
Yeah.
Run the damn ball.
I'm sure I heard about that actually in his office. he had like all these like favorite players like all up on the walls, or players what had actually worked. And I think as well, him being named coach, coach of the year in 2018 didn't help as well. I think he thought, I've won that, so everything I do is right. And his bald head just went boop.
Yep.
Why ain't this shit working? He's like, why ain't this shit working? And it worked well.
Yeah.
We were in Kansas City. You had Tyreek Hill, you had Travis Kelce, you had freaking all kinds of weapons around you. You don't have that here, you idiot. Do the basic things that win football games, or get the hell out of here with your head.
He never seemed to work to the strengths of the players what he had on the team, which just annoyed me completely.
Yeah, it's I was going to say, it kind of reminded me of what was I going to say about the Lovie Smith?
Man, I've had stomach cramps I enjoy more than Matt Nagy.
Yeah,
shit.
no shit. No shit, man. I was going to say something I had to relate to kind of the Lovie Smith era too. I lost my train of thought, but if he just stopped trying to be the mad scientist and just played the damn game, if he tried to keep it a little bit more simplified, that's what I was going to say, is that after the 26th season, Lovie Smith takes the Bears to the Super Bowl, and then what happens? He gets a little full of himself, right? He fires Ron Rivera. I mean, Ron Rivera everyone loved Ron Rivera as our defensive coordinator in Chicago, man. We were proud of that. And he ran a damn good defense that took us to the Super Bowl. And we lose in a monsoon because our quarterback can't hold on to the fucking ball, and he fires the defensive coordinator. He got a little too ahead of it. His head got too big. Same with Nagy, I think, after the 2018 coach of the year.
What happens there, Shorty? Stuff like when things like that happen. See, people not knowing how coaching dynamics work. You had a defensive coach. There was a defensive coordinator, and that's how he cut his teeth, Lovie Smith. Here you hire a guy that you got confidence in a Ron Rivera, who was very effective. However, it could be a simple. I've seen freaking almost fist fights happen between coordinators in how they call plays. Let's say that Ron Rivera called a base 4-3 cover 2 when Lovey in his head on a 3rd and 7 would have went, a blitz or something, anything. That kind of thing, the difference in how they would call a game, those arguments are real, man. That happens. I could be in the hallway in the building, and they could get into it about something like that, and you damn near have to split them up because they're that ferocious about it, about when you call a certain play. And so it was probably differences like that, and Lovey believing he would have did things differently at some point or another that caused the friction.
Yeah, you make a great point, because you go back and watch that Super Bowl over and over and over and over again. Like, I know I have done it. I don't know how many of you guys have done it, but the one thing I noticed was he was running that base cover 4 defense the most. He needed to be running a nickel.
Right.
Or he needed to have more defensive backs on the field, because they were fucking killing us with their screen game and their running game. Mostly the screen game that was killing us. Yeah, they were kind of running the ball on us too, but they were using those backs out of the backfield. Both of those running backs had a great day, and they didn't do anything to adjust to that, like adding more defensive backs to the backfield to come down and take out those screens, take out the running back. We got killed with that.
Just so people know out there, coaches freaking have it out, man. I mean, they have it out. They're spending long hours in the building, and a lot of times, too many hours in the building, they don't go home enough. And sometimes you might have the right kind of coach to kind of kick them all out of there, like, get out of here and go home, spend some time with your family. And they get so into what they're doing because it takes so much time. That's why I would never probably ever be a coach, because I know how much time commitment it is. And those guys just don't. I mean, I don't even know how they maintain a family life, man, because they're never home. Never home. And they get into it, and the best thing that could happen is the good coaches keep a bottle of scotch in their drawer or something, and they just, after it's all over, hey, man, let's just pour one.
Yeah.
Let's break some bread after this.
Yeah. Let's shake on it and move on.
What's that? You both talked over each other.
Sorry,
Go
no,
ahead.
I would have said it's just I forgot what I'm going to say now. What was I going to say? No, but yeah, it's just like, like you said, breaking bread. It's like shake hands, be men, move on.
Mm-hmm.
We're all doing it for the same thing.
Mm-hmm. What is that? What were you going to say, Nomad?
No, it's just that's one of those things I think people should know, that if you didn't know, you think these guys are just chess pieces and they're just figureheads. Man, these dudes work. I mean, endlessly too. I mean, they're just there all the time. You want to hear a funny story?
Sure.
In college, man, we were wild, man. I mean, when I tell you we were wild. There were multiple coaches that had pretty good looking significant others, man, and there was a lot of cheating going on. and it translated to the field, man. People got kicked off the team, sent home, and all kinds of stuff happened like that, man. That kind of thing happens when the coach he's at the building, he's got a good looking girlfriend or wife, and you start creeping around, man. I can't say I'm innocent in the whole thing.
Yeah. I talked about this on one of my previous pods. Are you aware of, or are you might be even referring to the incident that happened on the Bears with Josh Bellamy and Anthony Miller's girlfriend?
Oh no, what happened?
In his rookie season? Yeah, Josh Bellamy was like he was cheating on. I think I want to say he was banging Anthony Miller's girlfriend, and he found out, and they got into a fight in the locker room over it, and I think that was the end of Josh Bellamy.
You see,
right.
You see, these things, and that's a very interesting story, because that shit happens more than you guys think. Everybody out there listening,
I bet it does.
Yeah.
That shit happens all the time.
Yeah, because it's real life. Even though it's football, the sport, real life still goes on in them places, and people are still people, regardless if they're a pro quarterback or a defensive end or whatever. And I can imagine all sorts of little things are going on.
Plus, you're dealing with egos and money too. People have a lot of money and egos, and that all those things start to add into that, right?
Anthony Miller is like, the minute he found out about it, soon as he found out about it, he stewed all night, and he was telling himself, as soon as I get to the locker room, I'm busting his ass.
Yep.
That kind of stuff, that probably led to both of them not being there now.
I bet it probably did, yeah.
You can't let your personal stuff. It's almost like you have to turn on a different you. When the minute you get out of that car in that parking lot, you have to be a certain person. Mm-hmm. You cannot let the things that happened that night before in whatever situation or setting, you can't let that translate to the football field, and to your job. You can't let that. Even if y'all get into it, you might run into him at Taco Bell parking lot, and you might have a brawl right there in the parking lot. Taco Bell, burritos flying all over the place. What the fuck ever. But don't do that shit in the locker room, man.
Right. I mean, it's I lost my train of thought to what I was just going to say, but I mean, it's definitely it's something that I can see happening a lot, and I was going to say that if you if you're just in a regular work setting and someone at your work is banging your girlfriend, what's that going to cause in the office?
Yeah,
you're going to stew about it all night, and you're going to go into work pissed off the next day, and you're going to, then you add to it all the training, and they're all strong as hell, and they're full of testosterone, and they've got egos, and they've got money, and fuck it, his girlfriend's hot. She was looking at me the wrong way. I had to. I'm sorry. It's just I can imagine it's kind of some of the mentality.
I don't understand why guys overreact to another guy when your girl made a decision too. What the fuck you getting mad at the guy for? Mm-hmm. I can understand if you're best friends or something. Like, I would never cross that line with people I consider my friends. That's just in my DNA. I've had multiple opportunities and turned down every one of them. I'm just not cut like that.
Right.
But for somebody that you're just acquaintances with, Then why would you get mad at that guy? And it was just an opportunity for him. Be mad at that girl and make a decision on whether you need to keep her instead of blowing up on him.
Hey, I'm best friends. One of my best friends now is. It happened over an incident like that, and I was the bad guy in the situation. So sometimes we end up,
Dad, how can you do it, Dad?
To be fair,
you old polecat.
No, to be fair, I wasn't. To be fair, we weren't really friends at the time.
All right,
and she told me they were just friends. Okay,
I've been through that.
It turns out they weren't, and later on, he told me they weren't. But he also said that they were just friends too. So.
You dirty, man. You dirty.
No, I was an asshole. Right? But this day, he's like one of my best friends, so it worked out.
You dirty, man. Stop playing.
Maybe Anthony Miller is visiting Josh Bellamy in prison now because they're friends over that. Who knows?
One of these days, I'll tell y'all a real interesting story. But yeah, that kind of shit happens all the time, man.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coaches, players, all that kind of shit happens all the time. But I have another topic if you guys want.
I
was just going to ask you if you were done with your previous because
I'm at number 4 out of 6 with this one. Okay. From based on what I've been seeing and hearing about training camp and who they're putting in lineups where, seems to me, could be wrong, that Larry Bourne may be falling out of favor as a starter at either one of those tackle spots.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me.
It seems to me that way too, right? I mean, but my projection going into this season before training camp started was Borum left, Whitehair at left guard, obviously Patrick at center, and then obviously Schofield at right guard since they signed him. But I thought Tevin was going to be at the right tackle, right? And now we're looking at a rookie at the left side.
I still think Borum's going. Tevin might have a shot at that, right?
I do too. I'm hoping he will, right?
I think when it's all said and done, I think Reef will end up being the starter over there, unless this dude just kills it in the preseason. Talking about Braxton Jones, but I think Reef is going to end up being the default left tackle, and I think Tevin Jenkins is going to. If everything plays out right, and I think he'll end up landing on that right side.
Yeah, I do.
I really hope so, man. Because if let's just say you said you think Riley's going to be the default like starting left tackle.
I think so. I think that they just want to see what Braxton Jones is made of. It's not that I don't think he could actually start, but I think you wouldn't spend that kind of money on a guy and then not start him, would you?
Well, if unless you're hoping that the other guys that you drafted are going to be the starters, so that he is really just an insurance policy, and then you don't have to start getting into the incentive-laden areas of his contract to where you're paying him the $12 million, right? So if he sits on the bench all season behind Tevin Jenkins, he's not going to make much money, right? So it would be in their best interest to have Jenkins as their starter for that reason.
Look at it this way. How about just think about it this way? Let's give Braxton Jones every opportunity because we think we got something here, but let's know for sure. And once we know for sure, we can pretty much seal him at that position. But we just paid a guy, and we want to be sure we got our quarterback protected while Braxton Jones is getting ready to take that spot because Reef has only got a 1-year contract, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's why I was sure it was an insurance policy. Yeah,
it's a smart move. It was a very smart move, but I think they're now pretty sure they know what they have with Braxton Jones. I'm pretty sure they know what they got, and they'll be further in the preseason if he gets out there and does his thing. That's pretty much a guarantee. He's going to be probably a Pro Bowl left tackle, Hall of Famer at some point.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Who would who you're saying would be a Hall of Famer?
Braxton Jones.
I mean, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
There's a guy. He used to play for the Seattle Seahawks. I can't remember his name. It just eludes me right now because I got beer. But
sorry, mate.
cheap ass beer at that. But
no imported.
Walter Jones, I believe, was one of those guys I believe that came right into the league and right away was a starter and never looked back, ended up in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys just have it, and they just you got it. When you got it, you got it. You know?
Nick just joined the conversation, Nomad, and he asks, did you guys talk about Tevin's press conference yet? A lot of people claim he looked depressed / disinterested, but I disagree. He comes off as a reserved, quiet dude.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying we did touch on that, Nick, and I did say the exact same things. That I thought he looked depressed, disinterested, like he's coming off some kind of a, spat with the coaches, and he's just trying. He's probably a little down on himself. Maybe lost some. Well, this is just to summarize what we talked about. That he might have just lost some confidence because he was injured most of the season last year. Got thrown right into the mix. Only started a couple of games. Played well in spots, but didn't play well in other spots. And then they see him draft all these offensive linemen. He comes into camp. He might still be having a little bit of a back issue that he's still trying to get through. And he's kind of lost a little bit of his confidence. And I think that's kind of what we summarized what his press conference was about, and him looking like that, because he really looked dejected.
Excuse me.
Well, I'll give Nick my take. I saw something slightly different. What I saw is, I imagine, it's taking him this long to get everything resolved, whatever the situation was with him. It's taking him this long to get it resolved, and over time, all the questions and all the curiosity around what actually happened with him grew into a big monster. And it looked like, oh shit, they pushing me out there to go, fuck, I gotta go answer. That's what it looked like to me. Instead of, I don't know about depressed. I think he was just like, shit, I don't want to go out here and answer all this shit. That's what it looked like to me.
That's what Nick says here. He says, if you look back at his May press conference, he had the exact same body language. So if anything, he's bothered by his injury holding him back. Yeah, that's a good point, Nick, because if you're bothered by an injury that you can't get over and you can't get your ass on the field, that's going to make you look like that.
Yeah, I think he did well given the circumstances, and he's pretty aware of how big the hubbub over the whole thing became, and it was just, like man, really, why are you gonna push me out here, man? Why don't y'all go out there and talk about it, man? I don't want to deal with this shit. I got enough on my plate.
Yeah,
I've just like to me.
Yeah, I've just been through all this shit, and everyone questioning, including myself, and we've said it on the podcast before. Then he has to come out. He has to come out there in front of the Chicago media, and fresh meat. He's like a bloody carcass in the ocean, with great whites swimming all around him in the media, just waiting to fucking get into there and ask him all the nitty gritty questions about why the hell he isn't on the field. Of course, he would look like that.
Pete, let's devil's advocate right here. Let's just say that little story I heard about where it might have been his agent that leaked that. Let's just say that was true, actually. And they were like, hey, you know what, man? Your agent started this shit. You go out there and answer the question. See, it's not us. It's you. It's your team.
Yeah.
You go answer it.
That's a great call, Nomad, because that's exactly what would happen, right? They'd be like, we didn't start this shit. We're not trying to trade you. Right. Like, you must have talked to your agent about this. Get out there and, stand up and take your part, in front of the media.
Or follow his ignorant ass for telling you to do it.
Yeah. And also as well, it must find them conversations really awkward and slightly embarrassing as well to have with the press, because it's all very much like looking at him as his character, isn't it? And as he is as a person rather than just a footballer. Some of them questions what are going on of what's been happening. So because some people are going to go, well, are you why have you got a booze problem, or are you depressed? I'd feel exactly the same as him if I had to come out and in front of the press.
Nick is adding here that he's saying, as someone who suffers from depression, you tend to be more snappy and on edge. He's saying that Tevin doesn't seem to give that vibe, and that's kind of a good point too. He's not snappy or on edge. He's more just like, to what you were saying, Nomad.
Tevin's a drunkard, like one of those guys in the Bible. He just likes to drink.
Mm-hmm. He's a good old boy, man. He's
just likes to drink, man, and it's a hard lifestyle to change. If you ever, matter of fact, have you ever seen his dad? Have you seen the videos on him pre-draft and all that? Have you seen his dad?
Yeah.
That's a big son of a gun, ain't he? How you think he got that big?
Yep.
He ain't eating peanuts and drinking water. Guarantee you that. That's beer and meat, man.
Yeah, it's true. And I think if I remember correctly, didn't he lose his mother?
I heard, yeah, I think so. Cancer or something.
That was in his Meet the Rookies, I think, and that kind of stuff adds to that,
It does. I think we forget some. Sorry, Nomad, go on, mate.
No, Chris, go.
I mean, I think we do forget that these are human beings. Every day you get up, you feel different. Or something might piss you off, or something might happen what's out of your control. And when I see players being interviewed, I always like to give them that little bit of just a second chance, really, because we don't know what's going on in their background. We don't know what's going on at home. We don't, you know what I mean? And, all we're doing is taking little snapshots of what we think could be happening. So, I think sometimes people have got to realise that these are human beings. They're just like me and you. And if they've got stuff what's going on at home or stuff what's happening at work, it's going to affect the guy, innit?
Sorry, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I didn't mean to interrupt. I had to. There was a mosquito trying to kill me.
Oh, it's okay.
How big was the mosquito, man?
It was big, man. It was pretty big. You know something?
In America.
Yeah. The personal. I'll just ask you a question. When I talk about layers to situations and people's personalities, persnickety is a new word I'm trying to get out there.
I like it.
Yeah. What do you, Chris? I'll ask you, Chris. In the middle of the night, when you just wake up out of the bed and you're just hungry and you just want something, what do you eat?
Oh, good question. I usually go for cereal.
A bowl of cereal. Okay, that's fairly common for a lot of people. Yeah. What about you, Shorty?
It depends if I'm in the mood for sweet or salty. If it's sweet, I usually try to keep like some Reese's peanut butter cups around the house, or like some chocolate chip cookies or something for here and there. If it's salty, like, I know this is weird, but like sometimes I'll hit up I got some real nice ramen noodles from Costco. It's not the typical Merichin one, I might make a little bowl of ramen noodles, or even like a little cup of they have those single serving like macaroni and cheese microwavable containers now, like something like that. How about yourself?
Fat boy shit.
Yeah. How about yourself, though, man? You
Before I get into myself, I don't eat after a certain hour. I might snack on
I try not to.
Depending on what I have in the house, I may have some beef jerky or some turkey sticks or something. Just maybe even a keto chip or something. I'm on the keto diet.
Okay.
But however, what I'm getting at is I'm friends with a bunch of big boys, man. A bunch of big offensive and defensive linemen. I love those dudes, man. I love them. They love me, and it's been times I had to crash at their place, even in college and after college, I crashed at their place. And when those dudes wake up in the middle of the night, you think they're eating beef jerky? Mm-hmm. You think they're eating keto chips?
No, they're eating leftover pizza from earlier in the night.
Them dudes are eating double and triple decker sandwiches and shit, chips and all kinds of ramen and different shit, like all the kind of shit that get you big. Mm-hmm. And chugging a half a 2 liter of Pepsi or something.
Yeah. I just imagine them having like big. I just imagine them having like big slabs of meat in a sandwich. Yeah. Anything what high cholesterol and something like that.
They're eating a damn arm off the refrigerator. Everything in that motherfucker. They eat, man. It's not. They're not like regular people, man. Like regular sized people. They freaking eat, and you have to. If you're a person like Tevin Jenkins at his size, you have to refine how your approach to your personal life in order for your player life to get better. Mm-hmm. And I think he's in the process of that. Mm-hmm. Just trying to figure out the right kind of balance to be able to satisfy his desires when he wants something to eat in the middle of the night or during the day.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. I do try to not eat anything like 2 hours before I go to bed. That much. That's a good idea. That's something I try to stay adhered to. So if I do end up like eating a damn thing of macaroni cheese in the middle of midnight, I'm like, well, I guess I got to stay awake till 2 o'clock now.
or you'd be rolling around in the bed.
Yeah, with heartburn.
All kinds of shit going on.
Waking up in the middle of the night like heartburn,
Man, I used to be able to go and get any time of the day or night, man. Any time of the day or night. I don't care how long I was out at the club or whatever I was doing. Come home at 3, 4 in the morning with a dinner from wherever I went and got some food something from Denny's or anywhere. And just eat it and go to sleep. And next day, like nothing ever happened. You can't do that shit no more. Mm-mm. When you get a little bit older, start getting out of your 30s. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Come on, man. It's gonna bother you.
Mm-hmm. It comes back to bite you in many different ways.
When you get to a certain age, you got to sort of pre-plan them situations because they're going to affect you the next day. You got to think, maybe shouldn't. I mean, I'm 48 now, so I'm going to be 49 next month, and I'm definitely feeling like the body's slightly slowing up. I mean, I can be quite excessive with my partying, and I couldn't do the things what I used to do 20 years ago. Now I just wasn't able to recover. I could go out all night, like on a bender, and I could be like that the next day, go to work, not a problem at all. But these days, if I go out on a bender these days, I'm literally in bed for about 2 days crying, trying to get over the hangover or whatever. So it does happen to you. The older you get, the old body does sort of go slow down a bit.
My body does. There is nothing worse than a fucking hangover now, man. Like when I remember being 25, like, what's a hangover? I've never even experienced one, and then I get into my 30s. I'm like, oh, this is what a hangover is. And now I'm in my 40s. If I have a hangover for any reason, like I actually feel the best when I wake up. And now the day gets worse as it goes on. And I get more and more and more shitty feeling no matter what I do. If I'm slamming Gatorade and water all day, by 4 o'clock, I'm wanting to throw up still. So I try to avoid that at all costs.
But sometimes I quite like it though when you've been on a heavy session and you wake up and you're still really drunk, but you're still drunk in a good way. Yeah. I quite like that. It's like, wait, it's like a second win. Come on, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And Tevin lives in Chicago now, so there's nothing quite like drinking like a damn Viking and going to White Castle in the middle of the night and just slamming the shit out of 10, 15 sliders, man. And that's the best. Man. That's the best thing ever, man.
Oh God,
ever. But it's pretty bad for you if you're trying to keep your weight together.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I've had a couple of those nights myself. The White Castle.
I want some now. I'm talking myself into it. It's my birthday weekend. I'm going to damn get it. Getting some White Castle tonight and some pizza tomorrow.
What is White Castle? Because we don't have them over here. What is it?
Oh, you don't know White Castle?
No.
Oh man! Oh my God! Oh, dude, that's the best thing since sliced bread, man.
Right.
It's like
that. Go ahead.
They're like these little mini slider burgers.
Right.
So they're about that big and they're about that thick, and they got a little thin patty on there, but they have all different kinds. You can do, like jalapeno ones. You just get your regular ones.
He won't appreciate him unless we get his ass shit faced first.
Absolutely not. No,
he's got to get shit faced first, and then you'll have full appreciation of him.
That's not something I don't go there for lunch at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's something that you're shit faced when you're eating. It's it's kind of like it's a good Taco Bell comparison, like
right.
late night shit-faced food that you go to.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I mean, McDonald's is a bit like that for us over here because we have a McDonald's, 24 hours a day, not so far from where I am. So that usually gets cold depending on the state of affairs. But yeah, it must be quite weird that you have to think about everything you eat all the time being an athlete as well. You must be quite demanding about. Well, I can only have this, I can only do that, and you must have to have that sort of discipline about you, which luckily I lack quite a lot.
That shit sucks, man.
I'd just be fucking massive.
That shit sucks, Chris, man. You know the White Castle slogan, you know what it is?
No, what is it?
It's called "It's what you crave." And you do freaking crave those things when you drunk as shit.
But the last time that I did that, Nomad, was many, many years ago, way before I moved out of Illinois.
They don't have them in Georgia?
No, they have the Crystal.
Yeah, that's not,
but those are terrible.
That's bullshit.
But like, me and my buddy went out. I was the same guy I met my wife with that night. We were in the Green Mile. I think it was that night. We stopped at White Castle on the way back to his place. I crashed in his spare bedroom, and we bought like $60 worth of White Castle, for two people. I sat there and ate the whole fucking thing, and I have never had this shit so bad that I ever had in my entire life the next day. And I'm in somebody else's house, just like destroying their bathroom. It was.
Oh, you want to hear another funny one? There's a guy I had never. Don't, man, listen, people, kids, don't ever drink malt liquor, ever in your life, man. Somebody talked me into drinking one of these little cheap ass beers called a 211. And listen, let me tell you something. That beer is like oil and White Castle is water. They don't mix. I had to take 3 days. I had to take 3 days off of work after that. I'm serious. It just kept going, and I was one of them people. I eat some White Castle, and I just can't stop it. I'm eating like 15, damn near 20 sliders. And it just locked me up so bad. And then, like on the second day, it just didn't stop coming out. Now it's just like, oh my god, man, it was the worst feeling ever, man.
I know, man, especially when you're at somebody else's house. Yeah, watching the paint off their walls of their bathroom, like. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I can't wait till you taste the White Castle, man. You're gonna love that shit.
You got to make sure you have an Italian beef, and get yourself some pizzas and an Italian beef too when you do come.
It's a whole list of shit he's got to eat.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm gonna go online and check it out.
White Castle.
He's gonna look at White Castle.
All about. Yeah, well, just to see what it's about, and yeah.
I wasn't sure if you're talking about.
Just to see what it's about.
Yeah, it's nothing special, man.
Yes, it is. Don't lie to him like that. That shit's great.
We're all right.
It's special in its own way, but it's like nothing. You know what I mean? It's like it's perfect for the right moment.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah.
But you got
a few places like
that. Have you ever even heard of an Italian beef, Chris?
No. Oh, do you mean like a meatball sandwich sort of thing, like a sub?
That's interesting. We're talking about that because I wanted to ask him about some of that pub food I hear about over there in the UK because some of that shit looks great.
Oh yeah, we can get into that. I'll just explain the beef to you. It's an Italian beef, so it's cooked with oregano and garlic and Italian spices, and then it's sliced like paper thin. And then they have this special roll called Toronto. It's a Toronto French roll made by a company called Toronto. It's the kind of roll that can hold lots of moisture and it still stays chewy and hard on the outside, but chewy, and it kind of tears off when you eat it. And you build the sandwich with this thin sliced beef that's in this, oregano and garlic kind of a flavor to it. And then you put these hot giardiniera peppers on it and a little melted mozzarella cheese. It is my absolute favorite meal of all time. Everyone that knows me is probably telling me to shut up right now because it's all I ever talk about.
Shorty, you're talking yourself into a sandwich, aren't you? In real time.
You are.
Yeah.
You try to excuse yourself.
Yeah. I have everything here. Because I used to work at one of those places. It was my first job as a kid. So I literally bought a meat slicer and I go buy the roast and I roast it and I slice it paper thin and I I vacuum seal it in the 1 pound increments, and I make the au jus for it, and I vacuum seal that into quarts, and then I get the bread shipped in from Chicago. It's par baked, so whenever I want one, I can just make one, and it's great. But it's still not quite the same as having it Portillo's. Like, so
No.
when you
I have heard the name Portillo's.
Oh,
Is that like one of the top restaurants or?
Institution, man.
Yeah, it's an institution, a Chicago institution.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, yeah.
There could be a line 40 cars long, and there's people out with a notepad walking along the cars, and the line's just moving, and you get your beef in 5 minutes. And it's
we're gonna have to wheelchair his ass out of there when he's done.
You're gonna love it, man. Oh.
I'm gonna be like 25 stone by the time I get back home. I'm gonna be huge. I'll be like 300 pounds or something.
You will gain weight here.
I gain about 10 pounds going home every time.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna be home for the entire month of September, and if I go to Portillo's, I don't just buy one; I buy 3. Even if I know I can go there again tomorrow, it doesn't matter. I might have one later on for in the day too. So, and if
you're just like me, man. You just gotta stash them, man.
Yeah, because they hold up well the next day. 2 minutes in the microwave, it's the same thing. It's probably almost better too.
Ooh, yeah, because marinated.
Yeah, go to Portillo's. Don't go to White Castle. Treat yourself.
No, I have to have order, man. That's it. White Castle is up there.
You already got your
Portillo's later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Get drunk, White Castle. Get drunk, White Castle.
That's right. Like peanut butter and jelly, Jack.
Yeah, man.
Kind of moving back to the Bears, I wanted to ask you what your thoughts on some of the other defensive backs that we drafted, Nomad, like Hicks, that we haven't really talked much about.
Go ahead. You still got more?
No, I was just wondering what your thoughts were. I think his name is Elijah Hicks.
Oh yeah. He's I really like this dude, and what I think Eberflus was looking for in him. You remember a guy named Bob Sanders?
Mm-hmm.
You remember a guy named Earl Thomas?
Mm-hmm.
Similar build.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Really good closing speed. Really good ball skills.
Mm-hmm.
Aggressive enough to play the position.
Mm-hmm.
He's the future of that secondary back there.
Yeah.
And he's a ball hawk.
I think he could be in line to take over Jackson's job
at some point. If that could happen at any time. If
mm-hmm.
Coach at some point of the season, at any given point of the season, decides that he's not being physical enough, he's not tackling, he's not rapping, he's not putting people on the ground and striking like he's supposed to. Mm-hmm. That can happen at any time. Mm-hmm. I have faith in Eddie Jackson that he's going to turn his shit around because he knows he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't, there's guys waiting in the wings to get that spot.
And even if he does, how many years left on his contract? I think he's got 2 years left, maybe. So if he has a really good season this year, maybe they still move on from him somehow. If Hicks is in the wings and he's playing well,
I'm not so quick to shun Eddie Jackson because I think he's got enough talent to where he could be. If he plays the way I know he's capable of playing, mm-hmm. he could be an immovable piece.
Mm-hmm.
To where you won't want to see that kind of talent go to another team. He's got that kind of ability. Will it play out like that? We'll see.
It could. I mean, he could be right back up there to where he was in 2017, 18, when we had all those interceptions, and he was a ball hawk because now he's gonna. I mean, the addition of Jaquan Brisker playing next to him, and even Dane Cruikshank playing in some, nickel or heavy dime packages, I think is going to really open up Jackson to having a really good year. And he seems to really be buying into it when you watch his press conferences. He actually seems like he has a little spark in his eye again.
Absolutely, man. I was so critical of Eddie Jackson last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to act like Eddie's listening to this podcast. I know, and he knows that. I know that he knows he had faults in the way he played last year, and it mainly was around attacking the player with the ball and making sure he's getting on the ground instead of the arm tackles. And if he inside him, he knows he has to do better than that. And I think he's got it in him now. He needs to put it out there.
I hope he does.
Yeah, me too.
I hope he does.
I hope so.
So what else did you have? We're going on like 3 hours here now, so we should probably kind of start looking to wrap this up, just so it doesn't get too ridiculous. What else did you have on your list there, Nomad?
They made a move for a 3-tech guy named Tevin Coley.
Oh, was that the other guy they signed with the cornerback from Denver?
No. What'd you say?
When we were talking on Thursday, you said that the Bears had brought in some defensive backs that day for some workouts, and then like the next day, I saw that they had signed a defensive back from Denver, and then they signed one other guy, and I
think it's a linebacker in it who they signed.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
You said until Nomad just said that.
Yeah, Coley. I think Coley was signed within the last 24 to 48 hours.
What's his name?
I think Tevin Coley.
Okay, trying to find him.
He's been out of the league for the last couple of years. It's probably due to injury or COVID or something like that. Like a lot of guys missed a lot of time because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. And they could be getting him at the most opportune time while his body's had time to heal. He was a starter in the league, and we could be on something, man. 2 years of rest for a football player at that position, that's like platinum. The way these guys, they beat their bodies up so bad. Anybody that's able to get 2 years rest away from the game, this dude right here could be a steal.
Mm-hmm. He's only 28 years old. He's 6'1", 310 pounds.
He's built like a fire hydrant for a defensive end.
Hey, that's big for a defensive end, isn't it? 300 at that size, that weight.
Yeah, he's short and stocky. I almost wonder if he was going to play the nose.
He's all ass, man. He's all ass.
Ass and legs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. Boy, is he ever. You look at his pictures. Yeah.
He's made like a pear.
Yeah, he is. He's sturdy from the waist down, that's for sure.
Yeah, you need that.
That is such a good setup. Hey, no man, I'm gonna have to use that. You're built like a pear. That is so funny.
He's got a big beach ball ass.
But that could be a nice pickup for our defensive line at 28 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, it was that is who it was, Chris. They signed Devontae Harris and Tevin Coley. Okay.
I'm trying to the Harris guy I think is a special teams depth piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up in the air whether he might make the team or not. But I think the 3-tech spot or whatever that guy, he's not going to play nose tackle at 310. He's got to be bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
He could swing from both positions to the other between nose tackle. When you got guys that can be versatile at those two spots, you got you something.
Mm-hmm. Could he play 3 technique?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's explosive enough.
He's built more like a 3 technique.
Yeah.
But that's my biggest from defensive end to 3 technique.
That's my biggest question mark going into the season is 3-tech, but I think I said that to you.
Yeah, and you did say that. And if they're moving if they're going to play more of a hybrid defense, go to like a 4-2-5, that's another guy that you could have on the line that's going to help you because you don't really have the extra linebacker per se to put down on the line like the Legion of Boom was using, like Bruce Irvin. They're kind of moving him down to a defensive end position, more like a second outside linebacker kind of hybrid. And they shift the line over, the 4 linemen over, and then they move Bruce Irvin down to the line for the 5th.
And so everybody knows there are certain positions in that, especially on that defense, that are absolutely fluid up until week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you might see multiple because guys are going to start making cuts after preseason games. They'll upgrade at different positions after those cuts are a cut for one team might be an upgrade for us at a couple of positions, you know?
Mm.
So it's very fluid. It's going to be very fluid, I believe, up until week 1.
Yeah, I agree with that.
100%. Yeah. We're all going to be finally seeing, I think, that starting defensive line the first day of the 49ers game, right? That's probably what it's going to come down to.
Pretty much.
There's so many pieces that they can move around with that 3 technique. You know, they have Mario Edwards could play that. They have Sam Kamara could play that from last year, a UDFA from last year. They got Justin Jones, obviously, who they signed. They got Angelo Blackson could play some 3. So it's going to be interesting to see without that Tommy Harris type 3 technique. That
position is so that was the weakest position in the draft by my estimation. When I looked at everything and everybody in it, that was the glaring weakness in the draft to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that position is so important, and it's so hard to find the right people for that position, that if you really want to be thorough in that spot at this position that the Bears are in, since Ogunjobi didn't come through, it may be worth it to make a trade to get the right piece there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you don't find great 3 techs just walking around working at Walmart. They just don't exist. You have to make a move to get that.
Right. So what else did you have on your list there?
It was just a bunch of the last thing I had on my list was a couple of things. It was just about it's actually smoke and fire to the coach player situation with Tevin Jenkins, based on what I seen from his interview to Eberflus's interview, and I touched on it a little bit, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did.
And then the other one was also in his conditioning, and I just noticed how much he was elaborating on that instead of being vague.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a key focal point for him is his conditioning. And I told you how people move out in the Kansas, Oklahoma area. They some eaters and drinkers, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably trying to change his lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something with that for sure. And the fact that he's still on the team shows a lot too. So, like we were saying, we're all pulling for him.
Eating all that smoke and shit.
Yeah. He doesn't have any of that barbecue down by him now, so he's all up in. It's like Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory, walking around Chicago.
Barbecue is so good when you really know what you're doing with meat and know how to really cook it and smoking and doing things. I'm pretty good at it, man. Dude, I could eat strictly meat every day, but I know better than that.
I actually built a smokehouse in my backyard. It looks like a little mini outhouse.
Wow. Did you?
Yeah, I did.
What you smoke out there?
I've smoked brisket. I've smoked baby back ribs. I've smoked a turkey. I burnt it down, and then I rebuilt it. What I did was, like those, like the wooden or like the cast iron fire boxes that have like the door on the front and they have like the legs on them and then a smokestack that comes up. It's actually meant to put into a tent if you wanted to like run the smokestack out of the roof of the tent. I just took the box part and I put it into the center, and I put brick and mortar all the way around it and boxed it in and mortared it in, and then I built the frame up on top of it and I put the smokestack on top with the baffle I could open and close, and I put a door on there with a temperature gauge on it, and it worked great because I had the smokestack just came up, and then I had like a divider that just pushed the smoke down, and I would just keep adding wood to that box, and eventually I'd have to remove coals because there was too many coals, right? And I have to remove some and then add some more wood, and I had been using it for a couple of years, and then it was real dry here a couple summers ago, and it was like Labor Day weekend, and I was smoking some meat all day long, and then I was getting ready to go home soon, so I thought, I'll throw some ribs in there and smoke ribs overnight for my mom and bring my mom home some ribs, and the damn thing caught on fire. And
Go ahead.
was just saying, we were watching Game of Thrones, and my wife's like,
What's
something's
that?
smoky out there. And I look on, I'm like, holy shit! And it's right next to a wooden fence and some forest, and I'm like,
Oh,
walking out there
God.
it was like 11 o'clock at night. It took me like 3 hours to put the fire out, and then I had to rebuild it. I rebuilt it, and I took the smoke box out, and I put it off to the side, and I ran a tube that goes in the side of it, but it just doesn't get hot enough now. So,
Man.
yeah,
That's funny. My mother she bought a property that's kind of out there, and it's and she decided she wanted to fix it up and keep it, and you know, I guess part-time live in it.
Mhm.
But she had it's got a chicken coop on it. Somebody had a chicken coop, and it's kind of like a 2-story chicken coop,
Mhm.
and it's kind of falling apart. And she wanted me to tear it down. I convinced her. I was like, no, Mom, let's not do that. Why? This is just a piece of shit. And she was just going off. I told her, I said, I could turn it into a smokehouse. And she's really set in her ways, and she doesn't really change her mind about much. She kind of stepped back. She's like, really? You think I said, yeah, you can turn this, and all you need is a little tin and to fix up the structural part of it a little bit, and you got you something.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I did when I fixed it. I put corrugated metal roofing around the whole inside and on the rooftop, so that if a fire does get in there, it's just going to hit the metal now. But that's what you did.
Right.
How you put metal in there? Do you actually make it into a smokehouse?
No, I haven't had a chance to, man. But I fully plan on it. I'm not going to be doing it. I don't know anything about that shit, but I can get somebody that does. I don't know shit, man. I can't even freaking make a sandwich by myself.
Well, if you ever get that done, you're gonna love it, because it's really, having your own smokehouse it's well worth it.
I got several smokers on my property though. I use them quite often.
Mm-hmm. I bought a little Traeger pellet smoker that those are.
I haven't done that. I like the kind of box smoking, or maybe what do you call it when you don't put the meat right over the heat?
Yeah, it's like a cold smoker, like a
indirect cooking and shit.
Yeah, you smoke it more like 150 degrees rather than like 225 or something. That's kind of what I turned mine into. I turned it more into like a cold smoker. Then I can't really keep it at 225. It wants to stay at like 175. That'd be perfect for throwing some salmon in there to smoke for a day or two. But doesn't work well for brisket or ribs. It just takes too long.
Also, I'm a marinade guy, so when you marinate, I'm serious about that. I've almost perfected this shit. But when you marinate, all the marinade, I'm a baster when it comes to cooking a big piece of meat or a bunch of meat. I like to just keep basting it with the marinade and just keep basting it, direct cooking. Mm-hmm. I really like that.
Me too, man. Well, it sounds like we can have like a little food segment here and there at the end of our podcast. What'd you cook yesterday, Nomad? What'd you cook yesterday, Chris?
Yeah, cooking with Dad and Nomad.
So I think we pretty much covered everything for today, huh? You guys have anything else you want to add to this?
Did we empty the tank?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, I think we have. Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything anyway, so that's not unusual. I usually have a bit of a black eye.
Unless there's news that came out of that press conference that I don't know about.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't see anything new.
Nobody who was interviewed.
Let's see. It was Eberflus. It was Tevin.
I'm talking about today.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
Tevin came back out.
Oh, that was yesterday. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
I thought they had the day off today. I thought it were a day off today for them.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they got the day off today. No, I think they got the day off from practice.
Yeah, I think I remembered him saying that because they didn't want to, they're trying to keep everyone healthy, so they're kind of giving them some time, and then they ramp things up again next week. So
this week and the next week should be very, very, very interesting. It should be a lot of news because they're ramping up and installing for a game. Number one, number two, in and before and after that game should be some movement as far as players go.
Yeah, definitely.
I wanted to ask you, Chris, how do you watch the games? Do you watch every game or?
Well, basically, there's the main way I have viewed it in the past is there's a company called Sky what do like a satellite TV. And they've got like a sports package, and they actually have like an NFL channel. We have English hosts, and it's like it's done over here. So they usually have 3 games on a Sunday, including the Sunday night game. We have the Sunday night game, the Monday night game, Thursday night game as well. So that's usually how I be watching it. But the unfortunate thing is, if the Bears are not on their schedule, then I'm not going to see the Bears game. So this year, I'm actually going to get Game Pass this week, so I can watch every Bears game, because I kept thinking I can either be on a Bears channel or not watch every Bears game live. And people are expecting me to make a comment or be a pundit on it, and I'm only watching the highlights. So I'll be getting the Game Pass this week. So that's I should be all the games this season. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And they actually just changed it from NFL Game Pass to it's called NFL Plus now, and you can watch the games live, but only on a mobile device.
All right, yeah, I think I heard that mentioned, but I mean, obviously, I'd have it going through the Xbox, so I can watch it on the TV. So this year is going to be really cool. So, the first time I'm going to see every Bears game, and also doing the Barfly Tailgate show and chatting to you guys. It's going to be great this year. I'm really excited.
It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
I do have something real quick I wanted to run by Chris, because I was curious about it. And just before I say it, I am absolutely jealous of you guys and those fish and chips. I love fucking fish and chips.
I love fish and chips, mate.
God, so do I.
Love it with that little malt vinegar on it. Oh my God,
yeah,
I freaking love that. And I keep seeing on the Travel Channel these things called a meat pie, and it looks delicious. Is it good as it looks on TV?
No. No, meat pies usually the sort of cheap end pies. So it's usually made up of snouts and all sorts of things. But no, we are renowned for pies over here. I'd say, you can go high end and go to a nice place and have a meat pie. But the ones say if you went to see like Leeds United, who's like our soccer team over in my city, like they do meat and potato pies, and you just look at it and think, God knows what that used to be when it were alive. But if you get like a nice, good quality one, mate, you'd really enjoy it.
Man, it looks so good, man.
Is that the same? Sorry, is that the same thing as a shepherd's pie?
No, it's got a crust on it.
Oh shit, we lost him.
Yeah, I wanted to know too.
Me too, because you've had a shepherd's pie, right?
Oh yeah, I love shepherd's pie.
Oh man, so do I.
I can eat a pan of that by myself.
Oh God, no, I love shepherd's pies, man. I was hoping he was going to answer that question.
Man,
see if
they got some great pub food over there, man.
There we go. He's back here.
Sorry, mate.
It's okay.
I just had to plug him in. It's just like my mobile running out, so I've actually had to plug it in. I'm in the kitchen, so I don't really know what happened there, because literally my kitchen's about a foot away from where I was.
What you were saying, is that the same thing as a shepherd's pie?
No, it's got like a crust. So it's like a crust, and it's got the meat in the crust, and it's got like a crusty top. So one of the best ones to have is a beef and ale pie, what's got like beer in it as well, and they're really nice. But yeah, we're not really renowned for this cuisine. The British really are. We really all that people know is fish and chips, but the best British meal is a Sunday roast dinner, which is like your Thanksgiving meal.
Mm-hmm.
Can't beat a good Sunday roast.
Potatoes and carrots.
Sunday roast. Oh yeah.
Meat. Yeah. Sounds delicious, man. I know my wife did mention that the food there was hard to eat because it was a lot of carbs and a lot of potatoes and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, she was like, 2 veg and a bit of meat. That's the sort of thing we grew up when I was younger. So, but I can see that is expanding. We're very worldly now. So we're not like you guys are in America regarding food. But yeah,
That's why we're all such fat asses over here, though. So don't worry about it.
I could possibly comment on that. You know what I mean? I don't want to make enemies before I meet anybody.
No.
You are, unfortunately, that is one of the things that people around the world think Americans are, that they're all fat, which is not because you can't generalize the whole population.
No,
it's bad. It's bad. It's bad, Chris. It's so bad. You can just ride down the street and your jeans will get tight.
Yeah. And I go home from the Atlanta area, and I go back up home, and I was just like, oh yeah, everybody here's fat.
Oh yeah.
It's because everybody's. Because you want to go out and eat an Italian beef 3 times a week. That's what I did.
I got a Popeyes problem, man. I can't ride past that place without putting the damn car in reverse.
Oh man, I love Popeyes too. If it wasn't for the line always being so long at mine, I would have a problem too.
Man, those mashed potatoes and gravy, man, dude. Oh my Lord.
I know, man. They're so good. I'm sorry you don't have do you have a Popeyes by you, Chris? No?
No.
No.
I heard they were building one in the UK.
No, I mean, we have like McDonald's and Burger King, and we did have Wendy's for a while, but they just sort of disappeared.
Can't go mad with Dave's double.
Well, shit, no, man, we got to get that GoFundMe started.
Man, dude, you're suffering over there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get you out of there.
Get yourself a green card when you come. You might not want to leave.
Hey, well, I've had a few friends that have actually gone to America, and I've actually ended up like meeting somebody and getting married and staying in the States. I've got a few guys that happened to. So I've always, I've been to America when I was younger, but what I would love to do is I'd love to just sort of travel around the country and see the country itself rather than just seeing all the big cities, and probably do it by train or something. And I just like to see I like to see what everyday America's like rather than the big cities and the big lights. And just normal.
Trust me, we want to go. Everybody here wants to go see what it's like over there. Travel all around. It's the same feeling.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're quite lucky because we're only a small country, so we're literally from the top of Great Britain to the bottom. It's only 300 miles, and that's our whole country. We're only a little small place.
Yeah. Wow. So what, 4 hours? 4 hours from one end to the other, or something? Yeah. Yeah,
I think you've got lakes bigger in your country than my country. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we're not a small place, but we still got a bit of a bark in the world.
Yeah. Well, my wife keeps swearing that when we have to say goodbye to our beloved dogs, that she wants to do. So she definitely wants to go to Europe. She wants to take me over to show me some of the things that she saw when she was there. So if that ever does happen, I'll keep you in mind. We'll go out and we'll hit up a pub together.
Mate. Come definitely, mate. Come up to Leeds and I'll take you around Leeds, you and your missus, and we'll have a really good time.
That sounds great, Chris. I'll take you up on
that. Any day, mate. Any day.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for today, guys. Chris, I want to thank you very much for being our guest today. It's been a pleasure talking with you, man. You have a great personality and a great love for the Bears, and it's really interesting getting to understand how that became and learning a little bit about this.
I thought you were just going to say it's just been difficult to understand you full stop.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, I've understood you pretty good today.
Awesome, mate. It's usually when I'm drinking in it, Nomad. That's what it is.
It's the same thing for all of us, though.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I'd just like to say, Dan, is, thank you for letting me come on the show. You do a great job. And it's been awesome actually speaking to Nomad, the man of mystery. Mm-hmm. I just know that the network's going to take off, mate. I know you're going to do really well because you hopefully personality and what you're doing. So anytime you want me back on, just give us a shout and I'll be there. I
really appreciate the compliments. Thank you very much, Chris. And we definitely will have you on again.
Cool.
For for sure. It's been a pleasure.
It was
talking
fun,
to you.
man. That was
Yeah.
some of the best few hours I've ever had.
Yeah, it's just flown by. I can't believe 3 hours and it's just gone like that. And it's just
I
been
know.
Like it was nothing.
I know. And for me, I like podcasts like this because when I work, I put them on and I need them to be long. So no, I know there's definitely a demographic for that too. But I want to get into like taking 15-minute clips of some of this stuff too, just for people that want to hear some quick topics we were talking about. Try to put those out and subdivide it so it works for both demographics of audience. And hopefully I can continue to do that because I'm still kind of trying to figure that out to make it quicker. It's taking too long using YouTube, so we'll get around to that. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, Chris. This has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. We'll definitely have you on again.
Excellent.
Nomad, any last parting words?
No, I just want to appreciate Chris for coming on and being a good guest, man. And it was so much fun that the 3 hours just kind of just flew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just effortless. I know this probably will be a pretty good episode because I don't think anything we touched on was uninteresting. I think we kind of flowed, we laughed, talked about some nuggets about the Bears. It was pretty good, I think. And I thank Chris for being here, man.
I appreciate Nomad, mate. I feel exactly the same as well about you. So it's just been a blast, man. I just like it when I know it's a Bears channel, but I just like it when you get to know the people as well who are on the channel. So it's just been fucking a really good show and a really, really good time.
I really appreciate that, man.
I think we rocked this one out.
Me too,
yeah,
Nomad. Man. So there's a little thing that we didn't do last time, Nomad, that I mean, maybe you don't want to do this with me, but I like to kind of end the show on a Bears, right?
Bears.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Chris, thank you very much. Nomad,
cool.
We're going to be on Monday night. We're actually going to have Nick Welsh here from chat. He's going to be joining us on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We want to just get this in here with you on a Sunday, just so that you had some time during the day and didn't want to keep you up too late and all that. But I appreciate you willing to work with our schedule, and we'll keep that in mind for sure.
It's your show, Dan. So anything about the show, it's your show. So I'll work around what you want to do.
That's awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. All right. Well, I guess until Monday night at Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, Nomad will be on with myself and Nick, and we'll be talking some more Bears. Until then, you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll do a 1, 2, 3 countdown. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bears.
Bears.